Chapter 449. They are fighting for the human race. Cannons roared, and shrill and terrifying screams echoed throughout the city. The mutilated bodies of countless dark apparitions were littered on the flatlands. Black blood soaked into the ground and turned the soil dark. It was a ghastly sight. The dark apparitions continued advancing wave upon wave. They broke the first layer of defense by sheer numbers and continued closing in on Star Maple City. They didn't have a conscience. Their instinct was to follow orders and be the lowest form of being. They were always at the front line. Also, they were on the edge of life and death, so they were neither alive nor dead. To a human, their presence was hard to tackle. Behind the army of dark apparitions, many high-level dark apparitions were viewing the war nonchalantly. One of the vampire dark apparitions spread the wings behind his back and hover in mid-air. A frosty smile appeared at the edge of his lips. It looks like our spy failed. The humans are prepared. Humans are indeed useless. They can't be trusted. Another lofty and muscular giant apparition snorted in disdain. He, even if they are prepared, it won't change their fate. The entire city will be slaughtered by us. A crimson glow appeared in the vampire's eyes. His laughter was eerie. The giant apparition laughed too. He raised his head and looked at the 5-dimensional rifts in the sky. His expression was fanatical. The dimensional rifts are almost completed. The Sirs will dawn on this world soon. I heard that the Sir from Black Incubus Mountain is coming as well. The vampire dark apparition gave a repulsive smile. What? That Sir is coming too? The giant apparition's expression changed when he heard this frightening news. He was petrified. What are you afraid of? Will Sir attack you? The vampire dark apparition scoffed. The giant apparition felt awkward. He got terrified just from hearing the name of the Sir. How embarrassing. He touched his rough and bald head and laughed awkwardly. He tried to explain himself. I was shocked. I didn't know that Sir would come personally. We have been blocked at the other end of the dimensional rifts by these humans for many years. The Sirs above us are getting impatient. This time, we must destroy their military city and let these stupid humans know that we, the dark apparitions, can't be stopped, the vampire dark apparition said proudly. The giant apparition nodded. He seemed restless. Is it time for us to move? Let's wait a while longer. Let the low-level dark apparitions attack a few more rounds. I want to see how much longer humans can stop us. The vampire dark apparition shook his head. At the same time, Wang Ting said to Dan Taixian, based on what we have prepared, Star Maple City might not be able to resist for long. Dan Taixian turned somber. She nodded and replied, the dark apparitions have attacked in full fury. We have underestimated their determination. There was worry in her eyes. This situation was out of her expectation. Wang Teng remained quiet, staring intently at the battlefield in front. Yin Tongfang and Lord Yang stood on the roof of the Central Command building and looked at the endless swarm of dark apparitions closing in on the city. The defense arrays had been activated. They formed a sturdy and thick half-circle yellow shield protecting Star Maple City. The cannons continued firing. However, there were too many dark apparitions. They were like a mountain of ants. Many dark apparitions managed to evade the attacks of the cannons and arrived below the city. The low-level dark apparitions started attacking the defense shield, causing ripples to appear on the shield. They were too weak, so they couldn't break the defense instantly. Rows of soldiers gathered on the city walls with rune guns in their hands. They aimed at the vital spots of the dark apparitions and started raining bullets on them. As time went by, more and more dark apparitions managed to reach the city walls. The pressure on the defense shield intensified. Behind the swarm of dark apparitions, the vampire dark apparition smiled hideously. He licked his lips and smiled. Let's move. In a split second, multiple shadows shot out behind him, screams of excitement escaping from their mouths. Some flew in the air while others ran on the ground. They shot past the low-level dark apparitions, charged their way to the front at the speed of lightning, and hurled themselves at the defense shield like sharp spears. Atop the Central Command building, Yin Tongfang waved his hand down silently with a somber face. Boom, boom, boom. Kill. A cold bellow was heard. Many figures dashed out of Star Maple City and started fighting with the high-level dark apparitions. Force explosions occurred everywhere, the noise deafening. The human martial warriors had finally acted. In the forest, Wang Teng asked grimly, "Are we not moving?" "It's not time yet," Dan Taixian replied indifferently. Boom. The moment she finished speaking, a body fell from the sky. The person got drowned by the dark apparitions on the ground. Screams of agony penetrated the air before stopping within a second. That was a 5-star soldier-level human martial warrior. He was the first human martial warrior to be sacrificed in this war. After the first, there was the second. Death spread quickly. The high-level dark apparitions were more talented. Their battle power and physical condition surpassed their human counterparts. The humans knew this, but they remained fearless and embraced their deaths unflinchingly. They were fighting for the human race. Wang Ting stood at the crown of the tree and watched the battle from afar. Although his expression calmed down gradually, a malicious aura was building up in his eyes. He clenched his hands tightly. He wanted to help them right now. Even if he just killed one dark apparition, it would soothe the torment in his heart. But he knew that he must not move. They had been preparing for this day for a long time. If he moved, all their efforts would be in vain. Everyone was waiting. He wasn't the only one suffering. Actually, as soldiers, many people knew that they would die, yet they still fought at the front line. Were they stupid? Did they get brainwashed? No. They just hoped that in the future, their families wouldn't have to face this terrifying disaster. For their sake, they were willing to bear the implications, even if it cost them their lives. Boom. A loud explosion suddenly came from the sky. Everyone looked up. The 5-dimensional rifts seemed to have reached their limits and couldn't expand anymore. They started spinning slowly. The dimensional rifts were finished. Evil and sinister aura flowed out from the rifts, seeping into this world. Everyone seemed to have gone into a trance. They saw 5 massive pillars retracting, their positions coinciding with the 5-dimensional rifts. "That's a hand." Someone cried out in disbelief. His throat went dry. The dimensional rifts were formed by a hand. Who would have thought of that? Many people were terrified by the hand. They shuddered in fear. Wang Ting's gaze flickered. He still remembered the crimson eye peeking through the dimensional rift, spying on the Xingwu continent from the other end during the invasion of dark apparitions in Yang City. At that time, a hand big enough to hold the sky had crossed the dimensional rift and saved the 8-arms Devil General. Devil God, Wang Ting muttered to himself. Chapter 450, Thousand Thunder Annihilation Array, activate. Wang Ting didn't dare to imagine the despair of the humans when the Devil God landed in their world in the future. A peek of its eye was enough to let countless ordinary people, even martial warriors, lose their minds. It could form dimensional rifts with one hand and let multiple dark apparitions come to their world. Would humans be able to resist such a formidable presence? Fortunately, it currently wasn't able to move through worlds. Its body seemed too powerful for a normal dimensional rift to bear. Even so, everyone was still worried. They knew that one day, the Devil God would come personally. At this moment, numerous dark apparitions appeared through the dimensional rifts. They fell from the 5-dimensional rifts and landed above Star Maple City. They smashed on the defense shield like black shooting stars. Boom, boom, boom. The figures crashed into the defense shield and caused loud collisions. Before this, cracks had already formed on the defense shield from the dark apparitions' attacks. Now, after getting smashed continuously, the cracks grew larger. The sound of glass breaking resounded, crisp and clear. Retreat. Yin Tongfang gave his command. His loud voice echoed in the entire city. The soldiers on the city walls immediately gathered in the center of the city when they heard this. Behind the low-level dark apparitions, the vampire dark apparition frowned. What are they doing? Are they scared of us? The giant apparition laughed happily. Idiot. The vampire scolded him secretly. He looked at Star Maple City in confusion. I have a bad feeling. Don't worry. The Sirs are already here, and the defense shield of that military city is on the brink of collapsing. Soon, it will break. The humans are just lambs waiting to be slaughtered, the giant apparition said. The vampire thought of something, and his expression eased a little. This fellow is right. No matter how sly these humans are, once the sirs arrive, they will have to die. He chased away the bad premonition in his heart and mocked himself for being too suspicious. When did he become like this? This wasn't like him. Fortunately, he didn't expose his thoughts. If not, that huge guy would laugh at him. The sirs are here. Let's make a move, the giant apparition said. The vampire nodded. He flapped the wings behind him and darted to the front. The giant apparition followed closely behind. Multiple dark apparitions with powerful auras appeared below the 5-dimensional rifts. They came in different shapes and sizes. There were vampires, sheephead demons, lichens, and many more. The 8-arms devil general, who Wang Ting knew, was among them too. Zers, this is your chance to atone for your mistakes. You must perform well. The sheephead dark apparition sniggered. Zers snorted. He replied with contempt, "This is none of your business." The sheephead dark apparition, Saba, sneered. Then, he turned serious and said, "The one from Black Incubus Mountain is on the way. Well, move out first. Let's not make a fool of ourselves in front of Sir." The hideous lichen dark apparition, Silly, smiled, revealing his eerie fangs. He said, "I can't wait. Let's have fun." The dark apparitions glanced at one another and laughed madly. Then, they charged towards the Star Maple City below. Boom, boom, boom. They didn't use any weapons and smashed into the defense shield using the strength of their bodies. Loud collisions were heard. Bang! The defense shield could no longer withstand the frightening attacks. It collapsed instantly and shattered into numerous force shards. The shards scattered in the air and disappeared without a trace. The general stage dark apparitions laughed brutally. Kill! Kill all the humans! With a wave of their hands, swarms of low-level dark apparitions charged into Star Maple City. The dark apparitions wreaked havoc in the city. In a blink of an eye, they filled up the entire city and started looking for living creatures frantically. They destroyed anything that was in their path. The vampire dark apparition and the giant apparition hurried over and met up with the 8-arms devil general and the other dark apparitions in the air. "Sir." The two dark apparitions kneeled and bowed respectfully at the general stage dark apparitions in front of them. Saba, the sheephead dark apparition, glanced around him and frowned. "I can't sense any human auras." The vampire dark apparition was shocked. He felt the same bad premonition that he had in the past. "Sir, the humans were in the city a second ago." His face turned white as he replied agitatedly. "So, where are they now?" Saba questioned. The vampire dark apparition's heart shuddered. He didn't have an answer. "What happened? Speak the truth." Zers frowned and bellowed angrily. "The humans seemed to have discovered our plan. Cold sweat dripped down the vampire's forehead. He was shivering. "What about them?" Saba asked expressionlessly. "They might have run away." The vampire dark apparition's tone carried uncertainty. He was still hopeful. "If they wanted to run, they would have escaped a long time ago. Why will they wait for us to come?" Before the lichen dark apparition, Silly, could finish speaking, the other general stage dark apparitions grasped the situation. "Oh shit. Retreat." In their haste, the general stage dark apparitions didn't have any time to think. They soared into the sky directly. "Since you're here, please stay." Cold and menacing voices echoed from all around them. "Thousand Thunder Annihilation Array, activate." After the shout landed, 12 purple rays shot into the sky from different corners of Star Maple City. Boom. The 12 lightning rods slowly rose, accompanied by loud booms. Bang. When the general stage dark apparitions tried to escape, they were suddenly blocked by an invisible force. "Rune Array." Saba's expression turned ugly. He stopped in midair and scanned his surroundings. There were 12 elders sitting on the 12 lightning rods. They stared fearlessly at the general stage dark apparitions. "We will make sure you stay here forever," the master-level rune masters spoke coldly. "Old fellow, you think you can keep us?" Zers scoffed in disdain. "Well, just break it." I don't believe that we can't destroy this stupid rune array. Silly cracked his neck and said viciously. Boom. At this moment, thunder boomed in the sky. Thick flashes of lightning shot down, splitting the air into different segments. They aimed right for the general stage dark apparitions, carrying formidable power with them. Lightning element array. The expressions on the general stage dark apparitions' faces changed. They instinctively chose to evade the bolts of lightning. The lightning struck the ground. The low-level dark apparitions on the ground weren't so lucky. A huge patch of them was cleared in an instant. All that was left were several large holes and the mutilated and burnt bodies around them. Damn it, it's a lightning array. The muscles on Saba's face trembled. He felt a little fearful. Chapter 451. The general stage dark apparitions were stunned. Star Maple City had already turned into a battlefield. Waves and waves of dark apparitions swarmed into the city and caused massive destruction. However, they found no signs of humans. The humans had already left Star Maple City through the underground passageway. Only the 12 Rune Masters were left behind. They activated the Thousand Thunder Annihilation Array and cleared the uncountable number of dark apparitions trapped in the city. Saba and the other general stage dark apparitions were trapped too. They were evading the bolts of lightning raining down from the sky continuously. They never expected the humans to prepare this lightning element array. As dark apparitions, there were two forces they feared the most. One was the complete opposite of the dark force, the light force, while the other was the lightning force. Humans hadn't grasped the light force yet, but they knew many ways of using the lightning force. This lightning element rune was one of them. Furthermore, it was extremely powerful. Boom. At this moment, the general stage dark apparitions were having a hard time. Even though they were at the general stage, they didn't want to face the power of lightning. Fortunately, they were fast enough, so they were able to dodge the attacks all the time. But the low-level dark apparitions below weren't so lucky. A large portion of the low-level dark apparitions was chopped into pieces by the lightning and disappeared from the world. Damn it! The lichen dark apparition was in a bedraggled state. Suddenly, his nose twitched as it smelled something burning. He turned around to take a look. He was only slightly slower just now, but he got burnt by the lightning. A drop of cold sweat dripped down his forehead. This was so scary. Damn it, how did you plan this? Why is there such a huge loophole? You pushed us right into humans' trap. Saba was burning in anger as he shouted at the vampire. Sir, I don't know how this happened either. The vampire was on the brink of tears. He felt frustrated and shook his head violently. He thought that with the general stage dark apparitions, the humans could only die. Even if they pulled some small stunts, it would be useless and wouldn't affect the result. He didn't expect the sirs to get trapped as well. This was completely different from what he thought. Boom. A bolt of lightning shot directly at two dark apparitions. It squirmed through the sky like a silver snake, attempting to swallow them with its huge mouth. The vampire dark apparition was shocked. He turned fearful and wanted to dodge. Suddenly, someone grabbed his shoulder and lifted his body. No. He lowered his head and saw Saba's indifferent face. He screamed in despair. Boom. The lightning struck his body. A silver glow flashed and swallowed him entirely. Useless. Saba spat at the vampire. He looked away from the lightning above him and scanned the 12 Rune Masters. The heart of the array was the Rune Masters. If the Rune Masters were killed, the array wouldn't be a threat anymore. Kill them. Saba shouted at the other general stage dark apparitions. Zers, Silly, and the other dark apparitions understood his intention. They immediately flew towards the Rune Masters. A sickle-shaped weapon appeared in his hand. He went forward and swung his weapon at the figure sitting on the pillar in front. That person was Gorlin. A black glow cut through the air and fired towards Gorlin. Gorlin's expression didn't change. He was extremely calm. He didn't move, but somehow, a bolt of lightning struck down and collided with the black blade glow. Boom. Force exploded, and the black blade glow disappeared without a trace. The residual force blew towards Gorlin. His hair flew messily in the wind, and the gown he was wearing fluttered loudly. Saba's expression changed. He didn't expect his attack to be blocked so easily. Boom! A flash of lightning attacked him again. Saba had to abandon his advancement and evade the lightning hastily. His expression was extremely ugly. These human runemasters were harder to deal with than he had imagined. At the same time, Zers and the other dark apparitions executed their moves and furiously attacked the other runemasters. When Zers and Silly saw the situation on Saba's side, they looked at each other and attacked Master Karl together. Zers's weapon had landed in the hands of Wang Ting after the Yang City War. The time was too short for him to make another weapon, so he could only use a gigantic battle blade for the time being. Of course, the quality wasn't as good as the divine weapon Mo Q. Also, his arm had grown back. But if one observed closely, they would realize that the arm that had grown back was still a little stiff. It wasn't as agile as the other arms. He held his battle blade in one hand and slashed it at Master Karl. Boom! Lightning slammed on the blade glow, rendering Zers's attack useless. The lichen, Silly, appeared out of nowhere and arrived above Master Karl in an instant. Die! He gave a sinister smile and clawed at Master Karl furiously. He was wearing sharp metallic claws made from an unknown material. Master Karl snorted. He waved his hand, and a purple shield appeared above him. Lightning flashed on the purple shield. Silly's claw attack landed on the shield and caused an electrical sound. Then, his attack was disarmed by the lightning on the shield. Boom! Another bolt of lightning struck towards Silly simultaneously. He squinted and evaded the lightning precariously. However, the lightning bolt still brushed against his body and burnt a patch of his fur. Silly moved and appeared beside Zers. A burnt smell wafted into Zers's nose. He turned and looked at Silly. When he saw his appearance, Zers's expression turned strange. He wanted to laugh, but he tried his best to hold it in. They were on the same side. It would be too much for him to laugh at his companion. Although he had tried his best to suppress his laughter, the sharp Silly still noticed Zers's gaze. He turned angry from embarrassment and glared at Zers. Unfortunately, they didn't have the time to bicker. Scorching heat suddenly rose from the ground, and burning flames appeared in thin air. The Yi Wood melting fire array was activated too. What's going on? Isn't this a lightning element array? Why did it change to a fire element array? Zers shouted at Saba in astonishment and anger. He was flabbergasted. He was afraid of fire element arrays. In Yang City, he was crippled by the 8-dragon ablaze dragon array. The memory was still clear in his mind, hence his fear. He could almost feel the pain in his recovered limbs. The pain constantly reminded him that fire element arrays were also scary. Saba was stunned too. Why was there fire in a lightning array? What the hell was going on? The giant apparition grasped the mace with both hands and exerted more force. Pull harder. Wang Ting suddenly opened his mouth. He was using the dark apparition's universal language. The giant dark apparition was stunned. Was this short human stupid? Why was he encouraging him? A smirk appeared on his lips. Suddenly, he thought of something, and his smile froze. Wait, this human was messing with him. The giant dark apparition was furious. He glared at Wang Ting with his big eyes and continued to pull his mace. He wanted to retrieve it and smash it violently on this puny human. Wang Ting noticed that the giant dark apparition only understood his words after some time. His impression of the giant race's intellect changed once again. None of them are very smart. The game was getting boring, so Wang Ting raised his hand abruptly. The giant dark apparition who was still holding the mace got lifted too. The giant dark apparition was confused when he found himself in mid-air. The audience around them felt their jaws dropping. There was a striking difference in the body sizes of these two beings. However, the lofty giant dark apparition was being lifted by Wang Ting so easily. This scene was astonishing. Before the giant apparition regained his senses, Wang Ting suddenly moved. He exerted force on his arm and pushed the mace down. Boom! It was too late for the giant apparition to let go of his weapon. His legs were already hammered into the ground, and only the top half of his body was visible. Excruciating pain spread through his body. He released the mace he was clasping tightly and howled in agony. "I'll kill you." The giant apparition roared in anger as he struggled to climb out of the ground. Unfortunately, Wang Teng wasn't going to give it any chance. He grabbed the mace and twirled it. Then, he raised his arm and hurled it down. Bang, bang, bang. Dull thuds shook the hearts of the listeners. The mace slammed against the giant apparition's head ruthlessly, as if hammering him into the ground. The power caused his body to sink deeper into the ground. The giant apparition's body disappeared into the ground, inch by inch. Finally, only its head remained. Wang Teng looked at his work of art and nodded in satisfaction. He threw away the mace and clapped his hands. Then, he looked at the attribute bubbles around him. Zoom. The dark apparitions around him thought that he was looking at them and immediately retreated 10 meters. An empty zone appeared on the battlefield with Wang Ting in the center. Even the human martial warriors felt dry in their throats. They gulped and looked at Wang Teng as if he were a monster. Giant apparitions were known for their strength. Yet, he got hammered into the ground forcefully by a young man. Who would believe it? No one would. Ignoring everyone's gazes, Wang Ting swept the bubbles over with his spiritual power. They flew towards him. Some large attribute bubbles formed during the formation of the dimensional rifts were also picked up by him. Not much time had passed, so the bubbles were still present. If not, Wang Teng wouldn't have waited until now. These space attribute bubbles were the most important items. His rewards were huge. Wang Teng didn't look at them carefully. He observed his surroundings and saw 2 human martial warriors fighting with a 7-star soldier-level dark apparition. He rushed over immediately. Chapter 453, Human, You're Looking for Death. The 2 martial warriors were steadily losing their grounds under the onslaught of the vampire dark apparition. Wang Teng was surprised. He quickly flew towards the 2 martial warriors to reinforce them. He could tell that these 2 human martial warriors weren't the dark apparition's match. If they continued fighting, they would get killed within a few moments. He wasn't exaggerating. That vampire was seriously powerful. He was many times stronger than normal 7-star soldier-level dark apparitions. Also, he looked very young. No matter what race it was, there would always be 1 or 2 extremely talented individuals. This vampire dark talent was one of them. Wang Ting had defeated many human talents, but he had never met one from another race before. At this moment, he felt a little excited, like a hunter who saw his prey. He wanted to know how powerful this talented dark apparition was. Also, if he could kill a few talented dark apparitions, it would benefit the human race in many ways. As Wang Ting flew towards them, the 3 martial warriors were in an intense battle. The vampire dark apparition might have the upper hand, but the 2 human martial warriors weren't weak either. They exchanged blows continuously. The vampire held 2 blood-red bone blades and attacked the humans without stopping. As for the 2 human martial warriors, one of them was holding a long spear with a sharp glint at the tip. The other was holding a battle sword. In an instant, the person slashed a huge blue sword glow in the air. Boom, boom, boom. The forces from both parties collided in midair. 1 black, 1 green, and 1 blue. The 3 different force glows intertwined, eroded, and melted in the air. The 2 human martial warriors got thrown back for more than 10 meters because of this powerful explosion. The instant they managed to stabilize themselves, their eyes widened in fear. They saw a blood-red shadow darting towards them like a flash of lightning. The 2 blood-red bone blades split the air into 2 and formed a shrill grinding sound. Thick blade force covered the blades like blood stained by darkness. It was bloody and sinister. The black-red sharp blade cut through the air, aiming for the throats of the martial warriors. A frightening strength came along with it. It was too late for the 2 martial warriors to dodge. In a battle between high-level martial warriors, one slow move meant that it was too late. The difference was life and death. Die. Seeing the success so near, an evil smile appeared at the edge of the vampire dark apparition's lips. A bloodthirsty glint appeared in his eyes. The 2 humans turned pale. They wanted to dodge, but their bodies couldn't react as fast as their minds. Boom. Suddenly, a figure forcefully cut into their battle and blocked the two blood-red blades of the vampire. The two human martial warriors heaved a sigh of relief when they saw someone stopping the fatal blow. They had barely managed to escape. They could feel that their backs were already soaked with cold sweat. They looked at the person who suddenly appeared and then exchanged glances with each other. They saw fear in each other's eyes. They hurriedly said, "Thank you for saving us." Wang Ting tilted his head and looked at one of the figures. He said calmly, "If you die, who's going to pay me back the money you owe?" Xie Shuya was wearing a mask. When she heard the familiar voice, she was stunned. "It's you." She was dumbfounded. "You know each other?" The other human martial warrior was surprised too. "This is not the time to talk about this. Let's work together and kill that vampire first," Xie Shuya said. Within this short time, the vampire had already retreated. He was careful in front of this young man who managed to block his attack easily with his sudden appearance. Before he grasped this human's ability, he shouldn't attack rashly. "Who are you?" His accent was a little weird as he used the human language to speak to them. "Oh, another dark apparition who knows the human language," Wang Teng exclaimed in surprise. The dark apparition sensed contempt in the tone of this young person. His face turned black. "Human, you are looking for death." Wang Ting gave a constipated expression. When the dark apparition said that he was looking for death in that weird accent, he felt speechless. He wanted to laugh but couldn't. He looked at the other party in exasperation and copied his accent. "I'm not looking for death, really." "Fart." Xie Shuya burst out laughing. Where did this cheeky fellow come from? Couldn't he read the situation? Why was he still teasing the enemy? Most importantly, he didn't seem to understand what was happening at all. How amazing. The other human martial warrior was looking at Wang Ting strangely too. This young man allowed him to experience some fun on this tragic battlefield filled with life and death. The vampire dark apparition glared at Wang Ting. As a talented vampire, he had never been angered by a person like this before. He couldn't resist the urge to kill the young man in front of him. "Look, he's looking at me as if he wants to suck my blood." "How scary." Wang Ting pointed at the vampire dark apparition's face and said to Xie Shuya and the other human martial warrior. "Xie Shuya." The other human martial warrior. The vampire dark apparition. Many dark apparitions were paying attention to this battle. All of them were shocked by the scene. This human is fearless. How dare he provoke Leslie? Quick, look at Leslie's expression. He seems angry. Let's move further away in case we are implicated. Thus, this scene appeared. The dark apparitions screamed and ran away as if they were being chased by dogs. They kept their distance from Leslie and Wang Ting. The talented vampire, Leslie, looked at Wang Ting's irritating face and couldn't bear with the provocation anymore. He exploded in anger and roared. Then, he disappeared on the spot. In the blink of an eye, two blood-red blade glows slammed down on Wang Ting's head. "Be careful." Xie Shuya and the other human martial warrior shouted in unplanned unison. Their expressions changed. However, Wang Ting didn't move. Under the astounded gaze of the two human martial warriors, Wang Ting got chopped into 3 parts by the 2 red blades. "No, no way." Xie Shuya was dumbfounded and furious. She didn't manage to stop her comrade from dying. He might be a little irritating, but he was still a human who saved her just now. How could he die just like that? "No, wait." The other human martial warrior shouted in astonishment, "He's not dead." "How fast?" When the blood-red blades in Leslie's hand chopped at Wang Ting's body, he noticed something amiss. This wasn't the feeling of cutting a human body. He squinted and retreated instantly. Wang Ting's figure slowly appeared on the other side. He patted his chest and shouted, "Wow, I almost got chopped." "Enough." Xie Shuya was on the same side as him, but she felt exasperated. He could have dodged the attack easily, yet he chose to react at the last moment. She was worried for nothing. The sadness in her heart had gone to waste. Also, his acting skills were so exaggerated. "Could you be a little more fake, you bastard?" Chapter 454, 1 punch for defeat, 2 punches for death. Leslie had no time to care about Wang Teng's cheekiness. He felt that Wang Ting was a threat to him. This feeling hadn't appeared in a long time. He was a little excited as he licked his lips and revealed his fangs. He had never felt this excited ever since he defeated countless vampire dark apparitions and gained the honor of being called a talent. Memories. Leslie clutched the blood-red bone blades in his hand. His hands were trembling slightly. He wasn't frightened, he was just too excited. I have this feeling that I'm being targeted by a pervert. Wang Teng glanced at Leslie's gaze and muttered to himself. Xie Shuiya couldn't help but glare at Wang Ting from the corner of her eyes. Why are you complaining? You're a pervert too. Feng Shan, let's attack together. That vampire seems offended, thanks to someone, she said to the martial warrior beside her. The young martial warrior called Feng Shan glanced at Wang Teng and turned serious. He nodded. All right. You too. Stop fooling around. Let's kill this vampire quickly. Many other dark apparitions are waiting for us. We don't have much time to waste on that guy. Xie Shuiya spoke to Wang Ting while staring at Leslie intently, looking for an opening so that she could attack him anytime. You can help others. I'll handle this vampire myself. Wang Ting turned serious and replied calmly. Are you kidding? This isn't a normal dark apparition. Don't think that you can belittle him just because you're fast enough, Xie Shuiya retorted and glared at him. I'm not kidding, Wang Teng replied indifferently. He was indeed looking down on Leslie as he continued mercilessly, you almost died in his hand. Even if we attack together, you will only drag me down. Xie Zuiya's expression turned ugly. She bellowed in anger, bastard, we were just careless. Don't use that to judge us. We have our pride too. Feng Shan didn't seem happy either. This young man's mouth was seriously irritating. If they weren't on the same side, he would have turned around and left. He didn't want to care about him. Leslie howled indignantly when he saw them pushing him to each other. They were completely looking down on him. He roared and charged towards them. The blood-red bone blades slashed through the air. A thick dark force surged through the sky along with a bloody stench. Finally, it congregated into a blood-black cross. Ghastly blood cross. The frightening attack arrived instantly within a blink of an eye. Xie Shuiya and Feng Shan's expressions underwent a huge change. They felt the strength of the attack and immediately decided to dodge. They couldn't face the attack face-on. As Xie Shuiya retreated, she noticed that Wang Ting was still standing in front. He didn't move a single inch. He stood at the same spot and looked at the cross dawning on him in a daze. Is this fellow looking for death? The moment this thought appeared in his mind, her eyes widened in astonishment at the next scene. This cross is worth my punch, Wang Ting whispered to himself. He raised his fist and punched it out. Boom! A powerful and fierce fist aura exploded in an instant. One could faintly hear the sound of an ape roar. Ape King Fist. The cross froze in mid-air before disintegrating. However, half of the fist aura was still left. It struck Leslie ruthlessly. Leslie's face turned pale as if he got struck by lightning. He vomited a mouthful of blood and flew back involuntarily. How is this possible? His face was filled with disbelief. As a talented vampire, he used his most powerful vampire battle technique, but he was still unable to resist a punch from this young man. What joke was this? Leslie's confidence suffered a severe blow. He couldn't help but wonder if he wasn't talented. Wang Ting didn't give him any chance to react. He wouldn't show any compassion towards dark apparitions. He appeared immediately above Leslie and smashed another punch down. The fist landed on his head under his flabbergasted gaze. Boom! Leslie fell from the sky like a meteorite and blasted a deep hole in the ground. This fist blew his head into pieces. Naturally, he was not able to climb out from the hole ever again. Wang Ting! Xie Shuiya and Feng Shan stopped retreating in mid-air. They didn't know whether they should move forward or back. They felt awkward. They were filled with many mixed emotions. Disbelief, staggered, ashamed, and many other emotions. In the end, they just stared at Wang Ting blankly. How is this fellow so strong? Xie Shuiya wondered to herself. When Wang Ting saved her from the wolf pack, he didn't display much ability. Hence, she didn't know that he was so powerful. A talented dark apparition got defeated by one punch and killed by the next. It was crisp and clear-cut, direct and simple. He didn't waste any time at all. No wonder he had the time to tease the vampire dark apparition just now. He was confident and knew that he wouldn't need much time to kill the other party. To think that she wanted to work with him to kill this dark apparition. In the end, they were extras and would only drag him down. Feng Shan felt hot in his face too. He couldn't defeat the dark apparition even with the help of Xie Shui'er. Yet, the moment Wang Ting came, the dark apparition died. The difference was a little too big. A moment ago, when Wang Ting said that he didn't need their help, he still thought that he was overestimating himself and didn't know the severity of the situation. Now, he understood that this fellow was a monster. He couldn't judge him using common sense. The dark apparitions thought that the young man would be the one getting beaten, but the result was entirely different. Leslie was dead. He died under the fist of that young man. Many dark apparitions saw what happened just now. He was defeated with one punch and died from the next. Not one punch more, not one punch less. It was ruthless. Where did this young man come from? How terrifying. Many dark apparitions had been worried that they would get implicated, so they retreated more than 10 meters away. Now, they moved back another 10 meters. They obediently followed their hearts and chose to keep as far away as they could from this human. Let the Sirs deal with this powerful presence. Wang Ting didn't have the time to care about those low-level dark apparitions. His gaze landed on the dead Leslie, where a few transparent bubbles were floating up. Spirit *50 Enlightenment *65 Ghastly Blood Cross *1 Dark Force *320 As the attribute bubbles merged into his body, the cultivation method for the battle Ghastly Blood Cross also appeared in his mind. This was an Earth-rank high-class vampire battle technique. It used the evil aura as reinforcement and dark force as its foundation to activate the cross attack. Its might was formidable. It felt good to gain an Earth-rank high-class battle technique for free, but this vampire battle technique didn't seem useful. Wang Ting touched his chin and felt a little disdain towards this technique. Chapter 455, Spiritual Power, Crowd Control. The Ghastly Blood Cross wasn't like the 8-level Devil Scripture. Once he used this offensive attack, the fact that he had Dark Force would be exposed. The 8-level Devil Scripture was a physical scripture and was used to heighten his strength and physique, so most people wouldn't detect the problem if he didn't release its true power and reveal the Devil Pattern's special trait of this scripture. Also, Wang Ting had the system covering up for him. Even the dark apparitions might not notice what was amiss. At this moment, Wang Ting remembered the activation theory of the Ghastly Blood Cross. If he removed the dark force and only used the evil aura with one of the 5 element forces, would he be able to execute this Earth-rank technique? He could give it a try in the future. Wang Ting and Leslie's battle seemed long, but it only lasted for a few seconds. After he killed the talented vampire dark apparition, he didn't waste any time and immediately entered the battlefield again. Xie Shui'er felt terrible when she saw Wang Ting flying away without even looking or talking to her. This bastard never looked her in the eye, not even once. Was she so ugly? Oh right, she was still wearing a mask. This fellow hadn't seen her true face. She must let him see her beautiful face and astound him next time. Then, he would bootlick her shamelessly like all the other men. At that time, she could heartlessly give him the cold shoulder. What a perfect plan. Speaking about it, that irritating bastard didn't wear his mask today and looked quite handsome. She thought that this petty and stingy man with a bad character must be ugly, but he was quite dashing. Phut, I'm on the battlefield. Why am I thinking of such stupid things? Xie Shui'er shook her head and felt guilty for some reason. Fortunately, she was wearing a mask, so no one laughed at her. Feng Shan, who was not far away, didn't notice her abnormal actions in that short moment. He was focused on Wang Ting's back view. They were both 7-star soldier-level martial warriors, but why was their difference so huge? It made him unhappy. However, he heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Wang Ting ignoring them. If Wang Ting came over and reprimanded them, he would feel embarrassed. Wang Teng didn't know his complicated thoughts. If he did, he would laugh at Feng Shan for thinking too much. He didn't have the time to care about someone he didn't know. Feng Shan and Xie Shuiya didn't waste any more time and rushed to help other people. They found some 7-star soldier-level dark apparitions and started fighting with them. Wang Teng flew in the air and scanned the battlefield around him. He picked up the attribute bubbles that were dropping continuously from the fights. His ability increased unknowingly. Earth Force *25 Dark Force *30 Spirit *12 Enlightenment *20 Fire Force *10 Battlefield Awareness *15 There were all kinds of force attribute bubbles present. Similarly, there were Spirit, Enlightenment, Battlefield Awareness, and many other special attributes. They were one of the best ways for Wang Ting to increase his ability. Wang Ting didn't stay idle either. There were no other powerful dark apparitions around him, so his attention landed on the weaker dark apparitions below. In front of the dark apparitions, the human martial warriors were still at a disadvantage. Even though they had discovered the dark apparitions' plan ahead of time and made ample preparations, once they went on the battlefield and fought with the dark apparitions, the humans continued to suffer more losses than wins. Wang Teng also noticed this. Besides the stronger human martial warriors, the ordinary human martial warriors didn't have much advantage when facing the dark apparitions. Many times, it was a life for a life. The vicious one would win. There were many fearless human martial warriors who were unafraid of death. Thus, the scene was extremely tragic. Wang Ting scanned the battle below and frowned uncontrollably. He wanted to do something, but he couldn't save all the human martial warriors facing death threats simultaneously, no matter how powerful or fast he was. If he used some wide-range attacks, it was unrealistic too. He would accidentally injure a large number of human martial warriors. This was why they only activated the Thousand Thunder Annihilation Array and Yiwood Melting Fire Array after everyone in Star Maple City had been evacuated. One of these two huge arrays was enough to injure and kill a large number of human martial warriors with its terrifying power, much less both of them. The human race couldn't afford to suffer this loss. Wang Ting's mind worked furiously. He took out his attributes panel and quickly scanned all his abilities. He hoped to find a skill he could use in this situation. Very soon, he looked through everything but didn't notice anything useful. He shook his head and wanted to give up. Suddenly, his gaze landed on the second column of his attributes panel. Spiritual power, damn it, he was so stupid. He had forgotten his trump card. Spiritual power was an invisible force. He could use it along with his runes to form a force attack. At the same time, he could use it for simple physical attacks too. Moreover, he was in the Emperor realm now. The amount of spiritual power he could use was sizable, and the effective range was also wide. He had no problem tackling the dark apparitions in one huge patch. When he thought of this method, Wang Teng felt a little excited for some reason. He felt as if he had found something fun. His gaze shimmered as he searched for an area densely populated with dark apparitions. His spiritual power surged out of his forehead like a flood. He formed an effective circular range with him in the center. Silently and secretly, an invisible force spread out like transparent tentacles, twirling themselves around the dark apparitions. The attacking power of the spiritual power depended solely on its user. When Wang Teng only used it for picking up attributes, it was harmless and undetectable by others. However, when Wang Ting wanted to kill someone, his spiritual power became his best companion. It started to bare its fangs. On the battlefield, numerous dark apparitions were fighting with the humans. Suddenly, they paused in their attacks. The dark apparitions were puzzled and shocked. They didn't know what had happened. However, to the experienced human martial warriors, this moment of delay was enough to end the battle. The human martial warriors didn't know what happened to the dark apparitions either. They were about to get killed by them, but the dark apparition suddenly went mad and froze as if their CPU had crashed. But since the opportunity was in front of them, they wouldn't let it go. They grabbed this chance and waved their weapons, chopping the dark apparition to death. That chop was accurate and decisive. Up and down. One blade was enough to take the life of the dark apparition. However, Some dark apparitions that were more powerful and had stronger battle awareness released all their force when they got locked by Wang Teng's spiritual power. Before the attack of the human martial warriors landed on them, they struggled and got away forcefully. They were all flabbergasted. They could still feel the lingering fears in their hearts. Chapter 456. The bosses fooled us. The dark apparitions that managed to escape by a fluke were terrified. They retreated instantly. That moment was too scary. Before understanding what had happened just now, they should flee as far as they could. The human martial warriors who were fighting with them were stunned. Then, a hint of regret and frustration appeared on their faces. Why didn't they move a little faster? If they were faster, they could have killed the dark apparitions. It was a pity to miss that opportunity due to a moment of hesitation. Look at the others. They grabbed the chance and killed their opponent. Every dark apparition killed was a military exploit. They felt as though they had lost a few million. However, the dark apparitions who were retreating suddenly froze again. What the F***K? The human martial warriors cursed in their excitement. This time, they didn't hesitate. The instant the curse came out of their mouth, they had caught up with their enemy and slashed them with their weapons. Die. Slash. The weapons landed on their bodies, and the dark apparitions died. It was so simple that the experienced human martial warriors found it unbelievable. They managed to kill their opponents so easily. They were stunned. For a moment, they didn't know what expression they should wear. Wang Teng couldn't help but give an evil smile when he saw this scene from the sky. Let them be puzzled. He was starting to enjoy this feeling. It felt as if he was controlling the entire situation. Feeling restless, he turned and rushed towards another area. There were still many other dark apparitions waiting for his love. After some time, the dark apparitions in another area suffered the same thing. They paused for no reason and got killed on the spot. Their ending was gruesome. Next, Wang Teng continued his journey. Every time he went to a certain area, a large number of dark apparitions would die. It was paranormal. He used too much spiritual power, so his face turned a little pale. However, he was picking up attributes without stopping. The spirit attributes he picked up helped him replenish his spiritual power. Gradually, he regained his spent spiritual power. At this moment, the humans were in a confused state of winning. Although they didn't know what was happening, they all noticed a common point. Every time the dark apparitions lost their senses, Wang Teng would be nearby. Whenever he moved, the situation would move with him. Anyone with a brain could tell that this was related to him. Wang Teng didn't plan to hide either. He wouldn't be able to keep it from the smart ones anyway. The instant he used his spiritual power, he never thought of hiding. Moreover, he was able to save many people and deal a massive blow to the dark apparitions. Hence, even if he was exposed, he felt that it was nothing. Mind you, not everyone could tell that he had spiritual power. Spiritual power was a rare talent. Most people didn't know about it. With Wang Teng's help, the Black Sparrow Troop enjoyed a relaxed massacre. At this moment, Niu Li and the others looked at each other and then glanced at Wang Teng, who was in the sky. Kong Li couldn't control herself and asked, "What did this fellow do? How did he manage to make these dark apparitions depressed? Who knows? He's always full of surprises." Niu Li shook his head and gave a bitter smile. Yuan Xian felt mixed emotions. He was exasperated. At the start, when Wang Ting entered the military, he was unhappy and wanted to find an opportunity to have a duel with him, but Wang Ting never gave him a chance. He used a different method to suppress him every time. This event was one such example. He would never be able to do it. However, Wang Teng did it. He even helped everyone kill a considerable portion of the dark apparitions. Comparisons were frustrating. The more outstanding Wang Teng was, the more frustrated he felt. On the other side, Xie Shuya and Feng Shan noticed the situation too. They were dumbstruck. They stared at Wang Teng in disbelief. He affected the war situation in an entire area with his own effort. It didn't make sense. They were in awe and bewilderment. But no matter how they thought about it, they couldn't figure out how Wang Teng did it. Since the human martial warriors could sense Wang Ting's doings, the dark apparitions could find him too. The high-level dark apparitions possessed intelligence, be it they were vampires, giants, or sheepheads. When they saw Wang Ting, they couldn't care about their high and mighty demeanor anymore and started retreating frantically in the opposite direction. This human was more of a devil than them. Wherever he went, there would be dark apparitions dying. Who could handle this? However, Wang Ting's spiritual power ran faster than them. Before they could leave his effective range, they were bound by their feet. He pulled his spiritual power, and their legs were forcefully shut tight. Their bodies fell forward due to the inertia. They fell flat on the ground. They looked cute when they did that. Especially the giant apparitions. They were all tall and lofty, so their fall was exceptionally miserable. The ground vibrated from their fall. The human martial warriors wore weird expressions on their faces, but they didn't hesitate to grab the chance. They quickly dashed towards the dark apparitions and used their sharp weapons to stab their heads brutally. Red, white, and green blood splattered everywhere. Run! Run! That's a devil! The dark apparitions in the distance started yelling. They scurried away before Wang Ting got near them. Some dark apparitions that were more powerful howled angrily at Wang Ting. Stop him! Kill that human! Anyone that dares to run away will be killed. The hierarchy of the dark apparitions was obvious. The low-level dark apparitions didn't dare to disobey the orders of their superiors. However, they were terrified of Wang Ting's power, so they fell into a dilemma. The 9-star and 8-star soldier-level dark apparitions were fighting with the human martial warriors, so they couldn't spare any hands to attack Wang Ting. They could only open their mouths once again. His face is pale. He must have exhausted himself after using some secret skills. Here's just an arrow at the end of its flight. This is the best time to kill him. Kill that human, and you'll rise 3 ranks. You'll be rewarded with dark energy stones. Wang Ting raised his eyebrows. These dark apparitions were skilled at handling their subordinates. After threatening them, they enticed them with rewards. At first, he wanted to replenish his spiritual power, but he suddenly felt that he should stop for a moment. Many dark apparitions looked at Wang Ting when they heard this. They noticed that his face was indeed pale, and he looked weak. They were moved. In addition, the temptation of the rise in ranks and the dark energy stones gave them the courage to charge at Wang Ting. The expressions of the other human martial warriors changed tremendously. Wang Ting did seem injured. Hence, he would probably be unable to withstand the attacks of the dark apparitions. They immediately rushed towards Wang Ting and wanted to help him block the attacks of the enemies. At the same time, the other human martial warriors were furious. Wang Ting had helped the humans kill many dark apparitions and made such an outstanding contribution. If they let this hero get killed by the dark apparitions, they would be disappointing him. They wouldn't allow this to happen. Thus, many human martial warriors shot towards Wang Ting indignantly. Many dark apparitions came to kill Wang Ting. However, most of them were caught up by Kong Li and the other human martial warriors. After a round of ferocious attacks, they were smashed into pieces. However, 2 dark apparitions still managed to reach Wang Ting. They weren't far from him, and their speed was fast, so they managed to break through the human defense wall. The 2 sheephead devil race dark apparitions flapped their wings and flew at a fast speed. They were holding sickle-shaped weapons in their hands. When they flung their weapons, dark force could be seen hovering around them. Before they reached Wang Ting, the frightening blade attack had already arrived above his head. Kong Li and the others were furious. They wanted to grab those 2 dark apparitions and tear them into pieces. Suddenly, Wang Ting raised his head and punched out. A frightening fist aura surged out from his body and exploded in the air. The 2 black blade auras disintegrated immediately. The dark apparitions. The 2 sheephead dark apparitions were thunderstruck. They stopped their wings forcefully and froze in midair. What is this? Is this an arrow at the end of its flight? He destroyed our attacks with a single punch. Exhausted. Are you kidding me? Wang Ting's gaze landed on the 2 dark apparitions. 6-star soldier level. Good, courageous. A cold smile appeared at the edge of his lips. He hooked his fingers at the two dark apparitions. Come. The two sheephead dark apparitions felt as if they were looking at a smiling devil. Their heads turned numb, and their blood ran cold. The next second, they turned around and ran away. There was no pause in their actions. Wang Ting. The corners of Wang Ting's lips twitched. He appeared behind the two dark apparitions with a brick in his hand and smashed it at them. Bang! Bang! He slammed the brick ruthlessly on the two dark apparitions' heads. The two dark apparitions felt a formidable force travel down from their heads. The pain was excruciating. They couldn't stop their bodies from dropping to the ground. Boom! They hit the ground. Before they blacked out, there was only one thought in their minds. The bosses fooled us. The two dark apparitions were filled with hidden bitterness as they fell into the embrace of darkness. Wang Teng looked below, where the two dark apparitions were hammered into the ground. Only their heads remained outside. They didn't have much hair on their heads. As a result, they looked like two devil plants growing on the ground. Finally, everyone regained their senses and stared at the dark apparitions buried in the ground with strange expressions. Then, they looked at Wang Ting's pale face. Who on earth was the one getting bullied? Kong Li and the others sized up his face curiously. Was this fellow really at the end of his strength? Was he fooling them? Wang Ting coughed. His face turned whiter as if he had used his last ounce of strength just now. He appeared extremely weak. The dark apparitions. Kong Li and the others. Quick, he must be at his worst now. Kill him, the dark apparition fighting in the sky urged once again. The gazes of the dark apparitions below flickered. This time, they didn't advance. Instead, they retreated in unplanned unison. The powerful dark apparition. His subordinates didn't listen to him. They were so hard to command. Wang Teng sighed when he saw this scene. It looked like those stupid dark apparitions weren't that stupid. His face regained its color at a visible speed. The muscles on the powerful dark apparition's face shivered. So his subordinates weren't stupid. It was him who was too naive. Chapter 457. Come, come, come. The dark apparition fighting with humans in the sky turned green with anger. He glared at Wang Ting viciously. His subordinates fled in disorder while he got tricked by Wang Ting. This 9-star soldier-level sheephead dark apparition wished that he could skin Wang Ting alive and swallow him whole. However, he was entangled by a 9-star soldier-level human martial warrior, so he couldn't escape. Get off! He bellowed in anger. The sickle-shaped weapon in his hand tore the air and created a shrill sound as it spiraled towards the human martial warrior opposite him. The 9-star soldier-level human martial warrior's expression changed. In his haste, he couldn't block the attack, so he had to evade it. The sheephead dark apparition took the chance and broke free from his opponent. He moved his body and darted towards Wang Ting. Damn it! The 9-star soldier-level martial warrior immediately reacted. His expression turned ugly as he chased after the dark apparition. At this moment, a figure landed right in front and blocked his path. Move! The 9-star soldier-level human martial warrior yelled when he saw a dark apparition blocking his way. He launched a furious attack. The battle blade slashed a frightening green glow in the air. He wanted to kill his enemy in a single move. After all, the dark apparition in front was already heading towards Wang Ting. If he was a step late, Wang Ting would be in danger. Hehehe, are you trying to kill me? The vampire who blocked this human martial warrior sniggered. He didn't evade the attack and instead welcomed it with his weapon that looked like a thorn. Boom! The two figures collided, and a heated battle ensued. The 9-star soldier-level human martial warrior was in a hurry to leave, so his attack was ferocious and vicious. He wanted to end the battle quickly. However, the dark apparition just scoffed and held him back. His main aim was to waste his time, so he appeared calm and relaxed. As he fought with the human martial warrior, he laughed and shouted at the sheephead dark apparition. Fergus, I'll take care of this man. Go and kill that young human. Leave it to me. I will kill him. The sheephead dark apparition dashed towards Wang Teng without turning his head. There was strong killing intent in his gaze. Bastard! The 9-star soldier-level human martial warrior burst in anger when he noticed the dark apparition ignoring him. A resplendent glow erupted from his battle blade as he hurled it at the dark apparition. Sharp blade auras enveloped his blade. Haha, are you angry? It's still early. Once Fergus kills that talented young man from your race, you will only get angrier. The vampire laughed rampantly. He seemed to be intentionally provoking the martial warrior. Kill. At a moment like this, the human martial warrior calmed down. His expression turned cold, and his blade glow gushed towards his enemy. On the other end, when Wang Ting saw the powerful dark apparition rushing towards him, he turned serious. 9-star soldier level. The dark apparitions view him with such high importance. Kong Li and the others noticed the situation on this side too. Their faces turned slightly pale. That was a 9-star soldier-level dark apparition, 2 levels above them. They might not be his match even if they attacked him together. They knew that the dark apparition targeted Wang Teng because his performance was too outstanding and had an overwhelming impact on the result of the battle. Wang Ting, run! Kong Li shouted. Yuan Xian and Xie Shuiya were frantically looking for powerful warriors around them for help, but all of them were held back by other dark apparitions. No one was able to reinforce them immediately. The vampire dark apparition had killed a human martial warrior before he could help Fergus to stop his opponent from chasing him. If not, this situation wouldn't have occurred. Damn it, it's all that fellow's fault. Why did he perform so well? He gained the attention of the 9-star soldier-level dark apparition. Xie Shuiya was agitated. She secretly reprimanded Wang Ting for causing trouble. However, she also knew that if she was in his position, she would do the same thing, even if it meant attracting the attention of powerful enemies. Although Wang Ting heard Kong Li's warning, he didn't choose to run. He stood in midair and kept his brick, switching it with the divine weapon, Mo Q. Then, he stared at the 9-star soldier-level dark apparition that was furiously closing in on him. Come on, it's just at 9-star soldier level. I've killed one before. I'm not afraid. With his current abilities, if he was unable to kill someone at a higher level, it would be a humiliation to the system. Those dark apparitions thought that he was easy to bully. In that case, he would show them what an indomitable warrior was like. Dan Taixian said that he needed to groom his formidable presence. How was he supposed to groom it? Defeating same-level talents wasn't enough. He needed to defeat enemies at a higher level than him. Thus, even if his opponent was at the 9-star soldier level, he would kill them too. He looked up abruptly. Boom. Lateing physique. 8-level devil scripture. A formidable presence erupted from his body. His black hair flew in the wind, revealing his sparkling eyes below his forehead. They were giving off a blood-curdling glint. At this moment, he was fearless. An indomitable and formidable warrior. All the enemies blocking his way would be annihilated. Come. 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 Wang Ting screamed in his heart as the force in his body surged into Mo Q. After the 3 howls of anger, the aura around him reached its peak. Fergus was rushing towards him at the speed of light. His speed was so fast the air around him started exploding from the compression. He plunged down from the sky like a meteor, but suddenly, his pupils constricted. Sensing Wang Ting's menacing presence, he hesitated for a moment. Then, he flared up in anger. How could he be afraid of a young human martial warrior? Furthermore, this human martial warrior was 2 levels lower than him. What a joke! He would be able to kill him easily using half his strength. Fergus' cruel and cold eyes suddenly widened. There was dark force in the depth of his gaze. The sickle-like weapon in his hand seemed to have turned into the scythe of the Grim Reaper. It slashed towards Wang Ting with a pitch-black glow around it. Die! A glaring beam finally shot out from Mo Q. Force congregated into a frightening blade glow as it struck towards the dark apparition, top to bottom. Big Dipper flaming blade. Blade conscious erupted boom. A flaming fire glow a few meters long shot right up the sky, splitting the sky into 2. It was a crusade against heaven, led by a nobody from the ground. Fergus was the first to bear the brunt. The moment the blade glow exploded, disbelief covered his entire face. There was astonishment, exasperation, and regret in his eyes. Unfortunately, everything was too late. The next second, he was swallowed by the blade glow. The flaming glow enveloped the sky and cut Fergus' body into two. His corpse dropped from the air. An eerie silence appeared on the battlefield for a moment. Everyone was confused. Chapter 458 couldn't last more than 3 seconds. Fergus' body smashed on the ground and gave a dull thud. Everyone finally regained their senses. How is that possible? Many people started muttering to themselves unconsciously. A 7-star soldier-level martial warrior killed a 9-star soldier-level dark apparition. Were they dreaming? They found it unbelievable. Some people even rubbed their eyes and looked at the burnt corpse of the powerful dark apparition, Fergus. He was chopped into half and died an unwilling death. This reminded them once again that this was reality. This fellow is a pervert. Kong Li swallowed her saliva. Once again, her understanding of Wang Ting was refreshed. Her junior brother was brutal. Even though she knew that Wang Ting was unexpected at times, she never thought that he could jump levels and kill a 9-star soldier-level dark apparition. It seemed impossible no matter how she looked at it. Yuan Xian was also shocked. He finally understood how big the gap was between him and Wang Ting. Many people in the military called him a talent, but compared to that fellow, his title seemed like a joke. On the other side, Xie Zuiya's expression behind her mask was filled with stupefaction. Her jaws dropped, and she couldn't stick them back for a long time. What breed of monster was this guy? Everyone looked at the young man holding a strange and huge weapon with flames circling his body. Many words flew into their minds. God's child. Monster. Devil. They felt as if they were looking at the rise of an indomitable warrior. They did not doubt that if this young talent continued on his path, he would become a general stage martial warrior. Wang Ting had the potential to become a formidable general stage warrior. The vampire who came to hold back the human martial warrior so that Fergus could kill Wang Ting was dumbfounded. He felt that he was going crazy. Fergus was killed by a 7-star soldier-level young man. What a useless thing. Feeling indignant, his gaze turned towards Wang Ting, bringing along his malicious intent with it. No matter what, this young man was too outstanding. He mustn't stay alive. How dare you get distracted when fighting with me? A voice shouted beside his ear. Oh shit. The dark apparition's expression changed. He was genuinely shocked just now. That was why he got distracted during a life-or-death battle. And that moment had decided his loss. The human martial warrior's blade arrived. The vampire didn't have the time to dodge. But he wasn't a weakling. His gaze turned vicious, and he hurled himself at the human martial warrior instead of evading the move. At the same time, he stabbed his thorn-like weapon at the human martial warrior's throat at the speed of lightning. A life for a life. The human martial warrior's expression changed. He tilted his body to evade the dark apparition's attack. The move that was supposed to kill the dark apparition diverged from its original path and slit the arm of the dark apparition instead. Raw. The dark apparition howled in pain as one of his arms was chopped off forcefully. Blood splattered into the sky like a fountain. However, he gritted his teeth and continued retreating at the speed of lightning. Human, I'll remember you for severing my arm. You'll suffer my revenge in the future. A voice filled with hatred and bitterness seeped out of his mouth. He glared coldly at the human martial warrior. You want to leave? Naturally, the human martial warrior wouldn't allow it to escape easily. He chased after him. You can't keep me here. The vampire soared towards the dimensional rift in the sky. The human martial warrior chased him for a distance but had to stop in the end. He glanced at the dimensional rift in fear. In the past, some formidable human martial warriors attempted to get close to the dimensional rifts, but the result was obvious. Their endings were terrible. The closer they went, the more dangerous it was. The result was unpredictable. Hence, he could only watch the vampire flying higher and higher with a furious expression. He was full of unwillingness. Ha ha ha, I said that you can't keep me. The vampire laughed arrogantly. Splurt. At this moment, his body trembled, and his laughter stopped abruptly. Whose body is this? Why doesn't it have a head? He felt his vision spinning. Then, he saw a body without a head. I'm sorry. He can't stop you, but I can. Also, I'm a narrow-minded person. If I can take revenge now, I won't leave it for tomorrow. Just when he was about to lose consciousness, 2 calm sentences sounded beside his ear. The vampire didn't even have the time to retract his conceited smile. He was flabbergasted. It's him. How is that possible? Then, he lost his consciousness forever. Everyone once again stared absent-mindedly at Wang Ting in the air. They turned and looked at the spot where he was standing a second ago. His lingering shadow was still dissipating. His speed is amazing. The human martial warrior was stunned and staggered. Not only did Wang Ting kill the sheephead dark apparition who attempted to kill him, but he also helped him kill this formidable vampire dark apparition. Double kill. This fellow was terrifying. Wang Ting was indeed a revengeful person. This vampire was an accomplice. Hence, he must kill him and leave no future trouble. Even if it might be dangerous to get too close to the dimensional rift, he still acted. How many people could be so decisive? The 9-star soldier-level martial warrior was convinced by Wang Ting. He wasn't his match. Leave that place. It's dangerous. The human martial warrior remembered the unpredictable dangers of the dimensional rift, so he immediately shouted to remind Wang Ting. The moment he finished speaking, a peal of soft laughter was heard. I didn't know that I'd see such an interesting scene the instant I arrive. A rare talent is born in the human race. The human martial warrior's expression changed tremendously when he heard the voice. Run. Actually, he didn't need to remind Wang Ting again. The alarm in Wang Ting's heart was ringing frantically. He wanted to leave without hesitation. However, the next moment, he froze. His entire body seemed to have been pinned to the spot by an invisible force. He couldn't move at all. Wang Ting was astounded. This must be a general stage dark apparition. Damn it, do you have to do this to me? I only killed 2 9-star soldier-level dark apparitions. Do you have to send someone so frightening to kill me? I took so much effort to groom my indomitable presence. I didn't even have the chance to get arrogant before you poured a bucket of cold water on me. Why can't you let me be proud for a few more seconds, bastard? Wang Ting was on the brink of tears. He felt that his idea was a little bad. If he knew this was going to happen, he wouldn't have taken his revenge. It was all right to leave his revenge for tomorrow. Suddenly, he felt someone brushing his face. Then, a soft body hugged him from behind and blew into his ear. Chapter 459, Black Incubus Devil Lord. Wang Teng's body tensed up when he felt the texture on his back and the faint breath beside his ear. His vision moved down slowly. A beautiful and fair hand was stretching from behind and caressing his face gently. However, Wang Teng didn't feel the gentleness at all. Instead, his head turned numb, and his heart felt bitter. Tears almost rolled down his eyes. Oh my God, this is so scary. He hadn't seen the face and couldn't sense the aura of the person behind him, but this was definitely an extremely powerful dark apparition. The human martial warrior below managed to see the face behind Wang Ting. Horror appeared in his eyes as he exclaimed in fright, "Black Incubus Devil Lord." As a 9-star soldier-level formidable warrior who was extremely close to hitting the general stage, he knew some inside information. One of them was this Black Incubus Devil Lord. This was one of the few powerful presences that had come to the current world. Hence, the human race had a record of their appearance. This was why he immediately recognized the other party. He wouldn't be wrong. It must be that lord. The 9-star soldier-level human martial warrior was flabbergasted. Recalling all the legends he had read of this lord, fear crept right into the depth of his heart. At the same time, Kong Li and the others noticed the situation on this side. When they heard the human martial warrior shouting Black Incubus Devil Lord, they shuddered as if they had heard something terrifying. Terror appeared on their faces uncontrollably. They had never seen the true face of the Black Incubus Devil Lord, but they had heard of her stories. Now, she had her attention on Wang Teng, and he was also in her hands. It was the same as the Monkey King landing in the hand of Buddha. He was dead. No one dared to save him. They wanted to, but they couldn't. Anyone that attempted would die. There was no other ending. Fortunately, that presence didn't plan to kill Wang Ting instantly, so he was temporarily saved. They didn't need to send themselves to their death. They weren't being timid. They were just judging the hour and sizing up the situation. Black Incubus Devil Lord. Wang Ting's heart trembled. A drop of cold sweat dripped down his forehead. He had never heard of this name before, but based on the words alone, he could tell that the other party was incredible. Yes, this was a name he couldn't provoke. He looked at the expressions of the people around him and felt even worse. What a difficult situation. Why would someone as kind as him get targeted by this frightening presence? Wang Tung screamed in his heart. He didn't understand at all. Are you afraid of me? Suddenly, a gentle but stern voice sounded beside his ear. Ha ha ha. Wang Ting swallowed his saliva and laughed awkwardly. Beautiful lady, I'm not afraid. I'm just a little nervous. You're too close. Ha ha ha. As a man, you're afraid of a woman getting too close to you. The being behind started giggling as if she had heard a joke. You're just a female dark apparition. Why are you calling yourself a woman? Wang Ting complained in his heart. However, he wouldn't say it directly. He continued, well, I'm a pure-hearted little virgin. The Black Incubus Devil Lord's expression turned weird. No one had ever dared to be so impudent in front of her. She could feel that this young human was extremely nervous, but he was still so irritating. This young fellow is interesting. Kong Li and the others almost fainted when they heard him. What do you mean by pure-hearted little virgin? Can you have some face? Your life is the most important now. Who cares if you're a pure-hearted little virgin? Aren't you afraid that I will kill you now? The Black Incubus Devil Lord asked. I am. I'm so afraid that I'm going to pee in my pants. Wang Ting nodded fervently. He was afraid that the other party would pinch him to death if he replied a little slower. To show that he was sincerely afraid, he turned his face pale and shuddered as he spoke. All he needed to do was pee in his pants now. The Black Incubus Devil Lord. She suddenly felt a sense of helplessness as she looked at the young human in front of her speechlessly. This fellow didn't have the demeanor of a rare talent at all. He threw away his face without any hesitation. This must be a fake talent. I think that there's some misunderstanding between us. Why don't you let me go, and we can discuss this matter properly when we have the time? Wang Ting's heart skipped a beat when he realized that the other party wasn't speaking. You killed my men. The truth is right there. What misunderstanding can there be? The Black Incubus Devil Lord sniggered. Cough, Wang Ting coughed awkwardly. His mind worked furiously, and cold sweat flowed down his forehead once again. F***K, help me. He had a glib tongue, but he couldn't think of an excuse now. Besides, the Black Incubus Devil Lord didn't need any reason if she wanted to kill him. Wang Ting had many ideas on how to save himself, but none of them was useful. He couldn't even use his space talent. He tried it secretly only to realize that the space elements around him were all frozen. Furthermore, the Black Incubus Devil Lord was much stronger than him. In front of the huge difference in power, all schemes were useless. At this moment, the Black Incubus Devil Lord suddenly snorted. Boom! A huge explosion sounded behind Wang Ting. Then, his body got pushed out by a great force. Run! Dan Taixuan's voice sounded beside him. Master! Wang Ting was extremely touched. At the crucial moment, his beloved master was still the most reliable person. She came to save him despite the Black Incubus Devil Lord's dominance. Wang Ting didn't waste any time. As the thought flashed through his mind, he immediately activated his space talent and disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared again, he had left the control range of the Black Incubus Devil Lord. He turned around and saw Dan Taishen getting thrown off her feet after exchanging blows with the Black Incubus Devil Lord. She vomited a mouth of blood uncontrollably. Wang Ting's expression changed. Even Dan Taishen wasn't the Black Incubus Devil Lord's match. The strength of the Black Incubus Devil Lord rose another few levels in his heart. At this moment, Wang Ting finally saw the appearance of the Black Incubus Devil Lord clearly. This was a beautiful lady wearing a black feather overcoat. She looked no different from a human, but her long hair was dark purple and slightly curled. Her eyes gave off a pitch-black and evil glint. She frowned when she noticed that her prey had been rescued. She glanced at Wang Ting before taking a step out. Her target was Dan Taixian. Dan Taixian retreated after feeling the Black Incubus Devil Lord. However, she had underestimated the Black Incubus Devil Lord's fury. The next instant, the Black Incubus Devil Lord appeared in front of her and stretched out a hand from beneath the black feather overcoat. She lightly pushed her palm at Dan Taixian. Dan Taixian's expression changed, but she wasn't a delicate and weak girl. As a lady who aimed to be indomitable at her level, how could she be an easy person? She furrowed her brows as she looked at the Black Incubus Devil Lord's attack and activated all the forces in her body. She retaliated with a punch. Chapter 460. The Destruction of the Array Bang. Both their attacks seemed normal. One punch and one fist. It couldn't be any simpler. However, when their attacks collided, an appalling explosion spread out from the center. The powerful force swept the entire sky. Some martial warriors and dark apparitions around them couldn't run away in time, so they were thrown back a few hundred meters. A figure flew out of the center of the explosion. It was Dan Taixian. Wang Ting's expression turned grave. This was the second round of attack, and Dan Taixian was at the losing end. It was expected. The Black Incubus Devil Lord hadn't used all her strength. The difference was a little wide. As he thought about this, he activated his space talent without hesitation and appeared behind Dan Taixian in a split second. He caught her in his arms. "Leave," Dan Taixian said in a low and grim voice. Wang Ting activated his space talent again. The air behind him got distorted, and their figures disappeared. The Black Incubus Devil Lord frowned. She smiled gently and said, "Amazing, you guys again managed to escape from me." The moment she finished speaking, Wang Ting and Dan Taixian appeared in the distance. They stared at the Black Incubus Devil Lord intently. They were extremely fearful of her. Lord Yang and the other martial warriors hurriedly arrived behind them. All of them were eyeing the Black Incubus Devil Lord vigilantly. At the same time, they asked, "How are you? I won't be dying soon." Dan Taixian shook her head. Lord Yang nodded. Then, he gave a forced smile. "We're in trouble. I didn't expect the Black Incubus Devil Lord to appear. There's no divine executor canon in Star Maple City. We're unable to inflict any harm to her. To think that we spent so much time and effort preparing for this war. Are we unable to escape from annihilation?" A hint of despair appeared in Yin Tongfang's eyes. In the past, the appearance of this Black Incubus Devil Lord represented destruction. No one could escape from that fate. Wherever she went, only death, suffering, and agony remained. Until today, she had flattened 7 cities in the Xingwu continent. The Black Incubus Devil Lord was the epitome of destruction. This was why everyone was so terrified and shocked when they heard her name and saw her face. The Black Incubus Devil Lord had come to Star Maple City. Did they have any chance of survival remaining? Wow, how crowded. At this moment, the Black Incubus Devil Lord looked at them and raised her eyebrows. She smiled gently. "Let's play a game before I destroy this city." As she spoke, black feathers started gliding out from her overcoat, congregating and forming a black throne. It was almost impossible to tell that the throne was made from feathers once it was formed. Instead, it seemed to be constructed using black metal. It gave off a cold glint. On the back of the chair, there were a few black feathers that were larger than the others. They stuck themselves on the throne like sharp swords, exuding a menacing vibe. The Black Incubus Devil Lord slowly sat on the throne and glanced at the general stage martial warriors mockingly. "Game." Lord Yang and the others were furious. The Black Incubus Devil Lord wanted to play with them. The Black Incubus Devil Lord smiled when she saw the angry expressions on the faces of the humans. She was delighted. She looked down on Star Maple City and shook her head. "These fellows are useless. They got stuck down there for so long. I should barbecue and eat them when we go back." Although she was muttering to herself, Her words landed in everyone's ears clearly. The muscles on their faces started twitching. She wanted to barbecue these general stage dark apparitions. The black incubus devil lord was as cold-blooded as what the rumors said. At the same time, they saw the black incubus devil lord stretching out her hand and pressing it down on Star Maple City that was covered by the array. Damn it! Lord Yang and the other martial warriors were shocked. They wanted to stop her, but it was too late. The array started cracking under the intense pressure of the invisible force. The rune masters hosting the array were flabbergasted. They frantically activated the two massive arrays and attempted to block the black incubus devil lord's attack. In the array, 3 general stage dark apparitions died due to the double damage of the Thousand Thunder Annihilation Array and the Yewood Melting Fire Array. The rest were in a bad state too. They had burnt marks all over their bodies and suffered many injuries. The 8 Arms Devil General was still surviving tenaciously. However, its arms were once again broken due to the lightning attacks from the Thousand Thunder Annihilation Array. He had lost 3 arms. He was in excruciating pain, and his heart was bleeding. He had paid an enormous price to regrow his arms. In the end, before he could put them to good use and atone for his past mistakes, he lost them again, immediately after he landed on the Xingwu continent. His face was as black as the bottom of a pot. The general stage dark apparitions struggled desperately, but they were unable to break the array. If the rune masters were given enough time, the dark apparitions would all get killed in the arrays. They were in despair, but the sudden dawn of the black incubus devil lord gave them hope. Saba noticed the abnormality of the array and laughed. "Humans, you're dead. Once I get out, I'll tear you into pieces." The other dark apparitions were elated too. They looked towards the top of the array in unplanned unison. Crack! A loud cracking sound entered their ears. Then, large pieces of force fragments fell to the ground. The next moment, an explosion came from above the array. The entire array had disintegrated. Multiple force fragments turned into spots of light and disappeared in the air. Master Gorlin and the other rune masters were dumbstruck. The backlash from the array caused them to vomit a mouth of blood, and their auras dwindled. The 12 rune masters got seriously injured in an instant. Amidst peals of crazy laughter, the dark apparitions rushed towards the rune masters. "How dare you!" Yin Tongfang and the martial warriors were afraid of the black incubus devil lord, but they weren't scared of these general stage dark apparitions. Hence, when they noticed that they actually wanted to kill the 12 rune masters, they stopped them indignantly. The rune masters were like the general stage martial warriors in the rune world. In certain situations, they would be of greater use than general stage martial warriors. Hence, all of them were treasures of the human race. The martial warriors wouldn't allow the dark apparitions to harm them. "The game has started." The black incubus devil lord sniggered. She placed her hand on her chin and watched the collision of the two races. A huge battle exploded instantly. The situation was in a mess as a bunch of general stage martial warriors attacked at the same time. The destruction they caused was frightening. The buildings in Star Maple City were all in ruins. The rune masters took the chance to retreat. They weren't general stage martial warriors, so their battle abilities weren't comparable with Yin Tongfang and the others. If they remained here, they would be a burden. Chapter 461, Motivating the Entire Army. In the sky, the general stage martial warriors from both sides were in a heated battle. They moved at the speed of lightning, so from afar, all one could see were balls of lights colliding non-stop with one another, creating loud explosions along the way. The frightening force swept through the sky and destroyed everything in its way. Even though the battle was occurring in the sky, the entire area had turned into a forbidden zone. The ground below them would get implicated by the residual forces. This was how mighty general stage martial warriors were. Every single attack they made had scary consequences. Hence, you could imagine how frightening this life-or-death battle was. The buildings in Star Maple City collapsed one after the other. All that was left was debris. After the array disintegrated, the remaining dark apparitions inside dashed out of Star Maple City. Before this, The Runemasters had activated the Thousand Thunder Annihilation Array and the Yewood Melting Fire Array together and captured multiple dark apparitions in the city. They had killed many dark apparitions with the help of lightning and fire. However, some of the dark apparitions had still managed to survive. They rushed out of Star Maple City crazily, afraid that the arrays would get activated again. These dark apparitions had suffered the torment of 2 huge arrays. The trauma lingered in their hearts. Whenever they recalled the fear of being controlled by lightning and fire, they would shudder. The Black Incubus Devil Lord frowned when she saw this scene. Useless. Her cold voice echoed in the sky and landed in everyone's ear. The dark apparitions tensed up, and terror appeared on their faces. They knew better than anyone how terrifying and ruthless the Black Incubus Devil Lord was. If they offended this lord, they would die a terrible death. Any escapees will be killed. The Black Incubus Devil Lord's voice was indifferent without any emotions. All the dark apparitions shivered, and their heads turned numb. They glared at the humans and roared as they charged towards them. The humans were in a state of despair the moment the Black Incubus Devil Lord appeared. The Black Incubus Devil Lord was too strong. The 2 massive arrays specially crafted by the human Runemasters were easily broken by her. Dan Taixian and the other general stage martial warriors seemed exceptionally weak in front of her. Everyone saw what happened during the short exchange of blows between Dan Taixian and the Black Incubus Devil Lord. They knew that Dan Taixian was powerful. Ordinary general stage martial warriors couldn't beat her. However, she had no chance of success when facing the Black Incubus Devil Lord. In that case, which human could resist the Black Incubus Devil Lord? Moreover, the general stage dark apparitions had been released. If the human general stage martial warriors could stop them, that would be the best situation. This was a battle that couldn't be won. While the humans were thinking about this, the dark apparitions' ferociousness got ignited due to their fear of the Black Incubus Devil Lord. They pounced on the human martial warriors. Many people were caught off guard and got bitten to death by the dark apparitions. It was a gruesome and devastating scene. Wang Ting looked at them from the sky, his expression solemn. However, he was wary of the Black Incubus Devil Lord. If he used his spiritual power to control the battlefield again, would the Black Incubus Devil Lord kill him? The Black Incubus Devil Lord suddenly turned and looked at him. She seemed to have sensed his gaze. Wang Ting jumped in fright. It didn't feel good to get targeted by a big boss. Fortunately, the Black Incubus Devil Lord just stared at him mockingly and didn't attack him. Wang Ting heaved a sigh of relief secretly. He turned back to the tragic battlefield below, and a firm gaze appeared in his eyes. Come on, who's afraid? In this situation, he must act. If he was faint-hearted, if he remained still because he was afraid of the Black Incubus Devil Lord, it would become a psychological trauma, and his future cultivation would be affected. He turned serious. Then, he shot into the battlefield and spread his spiritual power to every single corner. The same scene appeared on the battlefield once again. The dark apparitions in the area froze for a second. The human martial warriors were stunned. Almost instantly, they understood what had happened. Wang Ting, it's Wang Ting. They looked at Wang Ting. No one expected him to have the courage to continue fighting after he gained special attention from the Black Incubus Devil Lord. They felt a sense of shame. Compared to him, the despair they felt was nothing. Wang Ting had been right in the arms of the Black Incubus Devil Lord. That was the real hopelessness. Yet, he didn't give up. So, what right did they have to give up? Why are you staring blankly at me? Kill them. A fierce shout came from Wang Ting's mouth. The morale of the human race was roused greatly. They pounced on the dark apparitions and waved their weapons high in the air. The fearless spirit of the human race had appeared once again. Kill. 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 The human martial warriors howled. They seemed to have turned into wild beasts. Even if they had to use their teeth, they would bite the dark apparitions to death. Dan Taixian and Lord Yang, who were fighting in the sky, silently gave their approval when they saw this scene. He had motivated the entire army alone. Wang Ting did well, unexpectedly well. As long as the morale was still there, the humans could continue fighting. On the other side, A hint of surprise flashed past the black incubus devil lord's eyes. She sized up Wang Ting with interest. This young human martial warrior was interesting. All this while, Wang Ting had kept an eye on the black incubus devil lord. He wouldn't sit and wait for his death. If the black incubus devil lord attacked him, he would run away immediately. But to his frustration, the black incubus devil lord didn't plan to kill him. Wang Ting's gaze flickered. He didn't care about the reason why she didn't kill him. It might be her ego as a formidable warrior, or she might be too lazy to move. Whatever it was, he had the chance to kill the dark apparitions. Along the way, he picked up attribute bubbles too. The greatness of the black incubus devil lord made him realize how weak he was. He needed to raise his ability quickly. Every inch of improvement meant a higher chance of success. The forces of his 5 elements were close to reaching the 8-star soldier level. He just needed a little more to break through. After clearing the dark apparitions in this area, he immediately turned and shifted to another spot densely packed with dark apparitions. Kong Li and Yuan Xian led their team and fought viciously with the dark apparitions. Ice Wind and Black Widow were beside them too. They rode on their gale wolves and traveled at high speed, hunting the dark apparitions around them. However, there were too many of them. They gradually got exhausted, and casualties started to appear among their ranks. Wang Ting arrived above them. He swept the area with his spiritual power and locked up the dark apparitions. Kong Li and the others were surprised before they cried with joy, feeling invigorated. "It's our leader. Our leader is here." Ice Wind and Black Widow exchanged glances. They were elated. Kill. The troops massacred the dark apparitions when they couldn't move. Form the battle formation, Wang Ting shouted at them. They reacted immediately and started gathering towards the center, quickly assuming the formation of a sword. Chapter 462. The Black Incubus Devil Lord is creating trouble again. Before the war started, the soldiers from the Black Sparrow Troop had come up with a formation to cooperate with the Gale Wolves. Thus, once they heard Wang Ting's words, they immediately got moving. A large sharp sword formed by human martial warriors and Gale Wolves appeared on the battlefield. One could see the complete sword from the bird's eye view. Charge! Wang Ting's voice resounded from the sky. Kong Li and the others rode on their Gale Wolves and followed behind him. They seemed to have turned into a sharp sword, stabbing straight at the fatal spot of their enemies. The sharp blade swept through the battlefield. Wherever it went, all the dark apparitions in the area would be massacred. Complemented by Wang Ting's spiritual power, they suffered no defeat. The war seemed to be tilting towards the human side. Good riddance. Lord Yang and the other martial warriors were surprised and delighted. They didn't expect the 100-men team to become such a powerful force under Wang Ting's command. This was a pleasant surprise. "Where are you looking?" The sheep-headed dark apparition, Saber, smiled hideously and clawed at Lord Yang's neck. "Go away." Lord Yang bellowed as he faced the attack. An intense fight started again. On the other side, the 8-arms devil general, Zers, also saw Wang Ting. Hatred almost overflowed his eyes. It's him. He had never hated someone weaker than him, but when he saw Wang Ting's face, he couldn't suppress the surging anger and hatred in his heart. Wang Ting had caused him huge suffering. They were arch-enemies. He held his battle blade and pushed Dan Taixian back with a single strike. He wanted to rush down and kill Wang Ting. "If you want to kill my disciple, you have to ask me first." Dan Taixian realized his intention and flared up in anger. She blocked his path, throwing a punch at him. "I'll kill you first before killing him." Killing intent boiled in Zerz's heart. Although he lost 3 arms, he still had 5 left. A couple of them were holding blades while the others turned into fists. He slashed and punched Dan Taixian. He had a huge advantage because of his 5 arms. However, Dan Taixian was extremely powerful, and her battle awareness was appalling. She switched between her fists and palms and used her bare hands to block the 8-arms devil general's attacks. In the midst of it, she even managed to retaliate, causing him to retreat continuously. His face turned black. Wang Ting didn't know that the 8-arms devil general had discovered him. He was leading the battle formation formed by his troop on the battlefield, charging right and left. They slaughtered the dark apparitions at an amazing speed like meat on the butcher's chopping board. The black incubus devil lord leaned back on her black feather throne with one hand on her cheek. She tapped the throne's handle lightly with her other hand and suddenly yawned. Then, she muttered to herself in a lazy voice, "This young man is cheating. This isn't fun." She thought for a moment. Her pitch-black eyes suddenly lit up, and she chuckled. Let's increase the difficulty for him. The moment this thought appeared in her mind, she opened her mouth and said to the general stage dark apparitions in the sky, "If any of you can kill that young man, I'll forgive you for almost losing the battle just now." The general stage dark apparitions felt their hearts trembling when they heard this. Their attacks became even more vicious. They wanted to break free and kill Wang Teng. When they arrived at the Xingwu continent, they landed in the humans' array trap due to their carelessness and caused the dark apparitions to suffer a huge loss. They had to bear the blame. No one could run away. As the chief commander of this battle, the Black Incubus Devil Lord had the power to decide their crimes and even their deaths. They might be at the general stage, but once they remembered how terrifying the Black Incubus Devil Lord was, they felt a chill running through their bodies. Now, the Black Incubus Devil Lord was giving them a chance to amend their mistakes. How could they give it up so easily? Dan Taixian and Lord Yang were shocked. They didn't expect the Black Incubus Devil Lord to create trouble again. What grudge did she have against Wang Ting? Why must she have him killed? Naturally, they wouldn't allow the general stage dark apparition to kill Wang Ting. Wang Ting was a rare talent of the human race and had the potential to become a formidable warrior in the future. Also, his presence was important in this war. They mustn't let anything happen to him. Thus, they used all their strength to stop the general stage dark apparitions from leaving. Suddenly, there was a blood-curdling scream. A general stage lichen spurted a black round light ball from his mouth suddenly. The human martial warrior was caught off guard and got hit by the ball of light. The bones in his arm, along with half of his shoulder, got shattered into pieces. However, the vitality of a general stage martial warrior was extremely strong, and his healing ability was powerful too. Even if he had suffered serious injuries, he wouldn't die immediately. But his combat prowess was affected, so he wasn't the lichen's match anymore. If they continued fighting, there was a high possibility that the lichen would kill this human martial warrior. However, the next second, the general stage lichen, Sila, abandoned the martial warrior and turned to charge toward Wang Ting. "Stop him." Lord Yang and Dan Taixuan's expressions changed. They shouted furiously. If that lichen broke free, Wang Ting would be in danger. Dan Taixian and Lord Yang wanted to chase after him, but they were held back by other general stage dark apparitions. "Sila, hold back this human. I'll kill that young brat," Zers shouted. He held immense hatred towards Wang Ting and wanted to kill him personally. "Zers, this is my chance to make amends for my mistakes. Why should I give it to you?" Sila laughed. He ignored the Eight Arms Devil General's shouts. "Damn it." Zers turned green in anger. Noticing that Dan Taixian wanted to chase Sila, a knowing glance flashed past his eyes. He chose to let her pass. "I must kill that fellow. Stay away as far as you can." Zers sniggered in his heart. Dan Taixian was stunned for a moment, but this wasn't the time to ponder over his actions. Sila was traveling at a fast speed and had almost reached Wang Ting. Wang Ting felt his heart palpitating without any warning. He felt as if a huge danger was befalling him. "Move." Dan Taixuan's voice hurled down the sky at this moment. She was still a step too late, so she could only shout to warn Wang Ting. Wang Ting instinctively used his space talent and disappeared on the spot. Slash. The next instant, sharp claws slashed through the air where Wang Ting was standing a moment ago. His lingering shadows were clawed into fragments. Sila's figure appeared. He scanned his surroundings and exclaimed softly, he managed to run away. Boom. Suddenly, a sword glow stabbed through the air, aiming directly at the lichen dark apparition. Sila frowned. He waved his claw and tore the sword glow into pieces. Wang Ting appeared in the distance. His face was grave, and he was carrying the fire god cannon on his shoulder. It was gathering energy rapidly, its fiery red glow extremely glaring. Sila's heart skipped a beat. He felt a sense of threat from the fire god cannon. Before he could do anything, a cold smile appeared at the edge of Wang Ting's lips. He fired the fire god cannon. Boom. Chapter 463, Hunt Boom. The fire god cannon spat out flames. A highly compressed flaming force ball disappeared from the muzzle of the cannon and shot towards the lichen not far away, bringing with it a scorching heat. That's a fire god cannon. The sudden attack of the general stage dark apparition and the huge commotion it caused attracted many people's attention. They were all worried about Wang Ting. There was a moment of silence when they saw the item in Wang Ting's hand. Then, their eyes widened in surprise. They didn't know that he had such a powerful weapon on him. They wondered if he could stop the lichen dark apparition. Under everyone's gaze, the ball of force light sped towards the lichen at the speed of light and arrived in front of him instantly. Sila squinted. Then, he suddenly smiled and raised his hand to catch the force ball. Boom! A huge explosion occurred. The next second, the ball of force light erupted, and the flames swallowed the general stage lichen. Hes hit. Everyone stared at the flame intently. They could faintly make out a figure inside. The general stage aura coming from the dark apparition remained strong. He didn't seem to be injured. This result caused their expressions to change. However, Wang Ting didn't wait for the results. He turned around and left after firing the shot. He understood the power of the fire god cannon. It was strong, but it wouldn't offer any life-threatening danger to a general stage formidable warrior. It would only inflict some small injuries. As expected, a figure charged out from the flames and scanned his surroundings. When he saw Wang Ting running away, he moved his body and chased after him. Dan Taixian rushed down without any hesitation to stop Sila. The Eight Arms Devil General let Dan Taixian off because he wanted to personally take revenge. He hoped that she would stop Sila so that he could kill Wang Ting. Stop her. Suddenly, the Black Incubus Devil Lord's cold voice came into his ears. The Eight Arms Devil General's expression changed. He turned and looked at the Black Incubus Devil Lord involuntarily. When he met her indifferent gaze, his heart skipped a beat, and he immediately chased after Dan Taixian. Although he felt bitter, he didn't dare disobey the Black Incubus Devil Lord. He could only throw away his plan obediently. He didn't expect that excellency to pay so much attention to Wang Ting. It looked like that brat was dead. The Eight Arms Devil General was fearful of the Black Incubus Devil Lord, so he released all his potential and caught up with Dan Taixian in the blink of an eye. He threw a punch at her back. Dan Taixian felt the terrifying force behind her back, so she had no choice but to turn around and face the attack. She tossed her punch out, and their fists collided with one another. Boom! The frightening force threw them back uncontrollably. Dan Taixian wanted to chase the lichen, but the Eight Arms Devil General moved and blocked her path. You can't leave. Zuz said calmly. Dan Taixian furrowed her brows and dashed towards the Eight Arms Devil General. Since the other party didn't let her pass, she could only kill him first. At the same time, Wang Ting had already escaped far away. He turned back and saw the lichen chasing him relentlessly. With his fast speed, he would be able to catch up with him very soon. Wang Ting's heart felt heavy. Damn it, why is a general stage dark apparition chasing him? Where is his dignity? Run. He could only run. His life was very important. Wang Ting remained calm on the surface, but his speed increased exponentially. He activated his wind force and covered his body with it, seemingly turning into a gust of wind. Not only that, he used his spiritual power too. It seemed to have formed a pair of invisible wings behind his back. As they flapped, his speed soared. It was like the difference between a normal engine and a turbine generator. Come on, I've never lost in terms of running away. A smirk appeared at the edge of the lichen's lips. He almost caught up with Wang Ting. He could visualize how he would pinch Wang Ting to death later. But suddenly, his eyes popped out. He saw Wang Ting's speed increasing unscientifically. Then, he darted into the horizon, leaving a trail of dust behind him. Scylla was infuriated. To hell with this human. How could he run at such a speed? As a general stage formidable warrior, he couldn't catch up with a 7-star soldier-level human martial warrior. It would be embarrassing if Saba and the other dark apparitions saw him. In an instant, he increased his speed to the maximum and chased after Wang Ting. Wang Ting's gaze flickered. The general stage human martial warriors were all held back by the general stage dark apparitions. They couldn't reinforce him. Also, the Black Incubus Devil Lord was commanding the dark apparitions. She wouldn't allow other general stage martial warriors to help him. He could only rely on himself. Wang Teng made a firm decision and charged towards the mountain range in the distance. In the empty battlefield, there was no place for him to hide. The martial warriors below the general stage couldn't offer much help to him, so it would be useless even if he sought their reinforcement. Hence, he had no chance of winning here. However, the mountain ranges were different. The mountains were unpredictable, so he might have a chance of surviving there. After some time, the human and the dark apparition disappeared from the battlefield. They flew into the thick forest on the mountain. The Black Incubus Devil Lord glanced in their direction and yawned. Then, she stood up from her throne. No, it wasn't her true form. It was just a special clone that stood up. Her body was still sitting lazily on the throne. The clone separated from her body and quickly solidified. Soon, it looked no different than the actual Lord. Go. The Black Incubus Devil Lord waved her hand. Haha, Lord, you're so curious today. The clone covered her mouth and smiled. Then, she disappeared gradually. The Black Incubus Devil Lord rolled her eyes. Only her clone dared to laugh at her. Well, she was a part of her body. On the battlefield, Kong Li, Ice Wind, and the other soldiers realized what had happened. They wore grim expressions as they looked in the direction Wang Ting disappeared. They were worried. Don't die, Kong Li muttered to herself. She had no confidence. The other party was a general stage dark apparition, while Wang Ting was only a 7-star soldier-level martial warrior. No matter how she looked at it, he didn't have much hope of coming out alive. Yuan Xian's expression was complicated. Although he disliked Wang Ting, they were both on the same side, so he didn't wish for him to die. Also, Wang Ting was truly capable and strong. He acknowledged his ability. Thus, when he saw him getting chased by a general stage dark apparition, he felt pity. Wang Ting's situation looked grim. However, this was the battlefield, a place of life or death. They had experienced too much of it. Since they couldn't save Wang Ting, they could only turn their sorrow into strength and kill more dark apparitions. In the sky, Dan Taixian frowned, especially when she saw the Black Incubus Devil Lord sending a clone to chase after her disciple. She truly wanted Wang Ting to die. Dan Taixian was furious, her attacks becoming sharper and fiercer. The 8-Arms Devil General retreated step by step. The 8-Arms Devil General finally understood how scary a woman could be when she was angry. Boom, boom, boom. Dan Taixuan's strength increased. Amidst the explosions of the forces, she fired punches at the 8-Arms Devil General continuously. The 8-Arms Devil General was thrown back under the onslaught. He vomited blood and looked at the lady in fear. When did she become so powerful? On the other side, Wang Ting sprinted towards the depth of the mountain ranges without any hesitation after he entered the primary forest. You can't escape. The lichen scoffed behind him. Wang Ting didn't reply to him, not even turning his head. He just increased his speed. In this life-or-death moment, he had released all his potential. You won't understand how powerful the general stage is. You won't understand the difference between the general stage and the soldier level either. There's no need to continue running. It's useless. Stop resisting, and I just might give you an intact corpse. If I catch you, I'll break your limbs, tear every inch of your flesh with my teeth, and savor it. You might not know how much I love the taste of talented human flesh. They're exceptionally delicious. Also, the more you struggle, the tastier your flesh will be. I've eaten many talented human martial warriors in the past. I still remember the taste now. As Scylla chased Wang Ting, he tried to stimulate him with his words in an attempt to destroy his belief and give him a mental breakdown. However, he didn't know who he was facing. If Wang Ting got frightened by these words, he wouldn't be Wang Ting anymore. Rather, he was angered by the lycan's words. Killing intent shot out of his eyes. Even though his opponent was at the general stage, a crazy thought of killing him sprouted in his mind. In the past, I met a talented young martial warrior from your race. She was a young lady, and her skin was so smooth. Sila's face turned hideous when he noticed Wang Ting's indifference. He started going into more details. Idiot. Wang Ting gave him a middle finger without turning back. The dark apparitions had been fighting with the humans for many years, so Sila understood what this sign and idiot meant. He burst into anger. This fellow was belittling him even though he was at the general stage. There were many star beasts in the forest, and they got alerted by the commotion. However, feeling the powerful aura exuding from their bodies, they ran away, not daring to get any closer. As the duo headed deeper, some formidable star beasts started appearing. Wang Ting sensed the presence of these star beasts and led the lycan to their territories. He activated his wave invisibility skill to cover up his aura. The powerful star beasts who got disturbed couldn't find the real invader, so they could only vent their frustration on the lycan. Roar. The moment a 9-star beast darted out, it was killed by Sila with a smirk. The muscles on Wang Ting's face trembled. He silently picked up the attributes dropped by the star beast and left in a hurry. He didn't have the time to pick up the corpse. What a waste. However, Sila did it for him and kept it. After all, he was the one who made an effort to kill it. The flesh of a 9-star beast wasn't an ordinary item. He wouldn't let it go to waste. Then, he continued chasing Wang Ting. A hint of confusion appeared in his eyes. How did that fellow escape the star beast's detection? He didn't know Wang Ting's method, but he understood immediately once he recalled the attention the Black Incubus Devil Lord gave him. There must be something special about this brat. Sila started to feel curious about Wang Ting. As their journey continued, more and more powerful star beasts appeared. Wang Ting used the same method to let the lycans suffer tough battles. At the start, Sila didn't mind. 1 or 2 9-star beasts were nothing to him. He even felt that Wang Ting was just putting up his last-ditch useless struggle. But as more and more star beasts blocked his path, his face turned black. He felt that he was being played. Flames of anger burned in his heart. Bang! He broke the spine of a star beast with his claw and killed it. Then, he panted slightly. After the long chase, he was starting to feel tired too. Come out. He scanned his surroundings and howled in anger. I thought you loved to chase me. Come on, continue. Wang Ting revealed himself and hooked his finger at Sila. He continued running. Damn this human, Sila bellowed in his low voice. He knew that this was Wang Ting's scheme, but he had no other choice. He had to continue chasing. If he couldn't catch Wang Ting and bring him back, the Black Incubus Devil Lord wouldn't let him off. This bit of tiredness was nothing when compared to facing the Black Incubus Devil Lord. Half an hour later, Wang Ting had traveled half the mountain range. He angered another powerful star beast and laughed. Bald Wolf, I prepared a huge gift for you. Please receive it properly. The moment he finished speaking, a terrifying and ferocious roar echoed in the forest. Then, a giant tiger with one horn on its head appeared in midair. It was covered with yellow scales that formed armor on its body. It scanned its territory and saw Sila, who was chasing Wang Ting, immediately pouncing on him. Bastard! Sila's face turned black. He knew that this was a half-step Lord-level star beast. He wasn't afraid of it, but he had to pay a higher price if he wanted to kill it. The dark force in his body wasn't endless. The fights before this had used up much of his reserves. Sila turned and retreated. He wanted to lay low and evade the fight with this golden-scale tiger. However, the golden-scale tiger didn't plan to let him go so easily. Anyone who dared to invade its territory would have to suffer its wrath. The territorial dominance of a star beast was extremely strong. An intense battle ensued in midair. In the end, the half-step Lord-level golden-scaled tiger still lost to Sila and was killed on the spot. Sila kept the corpse of the tiger and looked around him. He wanted to find Wang Ting. This young human was too scheming. He wanted to use this method to exhaust him to death. At this moment, a tinge of hesitation appeared in his heart. But when he remembered that Wang Ting was only at the 7-star soldier level, he laughed at himself. So what if he used up much of his dark force? Killing that young human was still a piece of cake. Wang Ting looked at the golden-scaled tiger that got killed by Scylla. A few large attribute bubbles were floating around it. He immediately used his spiritual power to pick them up secretly. Earth Force *560 blank attribute *399. Suddenly, Wang Ting shuddered. His Earth Force had broken through the barrier and reached the 8-star soldier level. Chapter 464. Are you planning to change a host because you dislike me? Earth Force 287,000, 8-star. Wang Ting felt the breakthrough in his level and immediately drew out his attributes panel. He never expected his Earth Force to be the first to reach the 8-star soldier level. Mind you, at the start, his Fire Force was way ahead of the other forces. He scanned his attributes panel and noticed that his Fire Force was actually inches away from reaching the 8-star soldier level. Fire Force 4999 5000, 7-star. It was indeed extremely close. All he needed was one more point. Wang Ting felt a little exasperated. In that instant, he felt how evil the system was. If he hadn't opened his attributes panel, he wouldn't have realized that his Fire Force was so close to the 8-star soldier level. If he knew it, he would have killed a fire element star beast. Even a 1-star soldier level star beast was enough to help him raise his level. He looked at the other force attributes. Besides the rarer elements, wind, lightning, ice, and poison, the other 5 elements had seen a tremendous improvement. They were also very close to breaking through. In total, he needed less than 100 force attributes to raise his 5 elements. Wang Ting felt the evil intentions of the system. The system. Among all his forces, the one that surprised him the most was Dark Force. Without him knowing, his Dark Force had silently risen to the 9-star soldier level. It wasn't far from the general stage either. Dark Force 8569,000, 9-star. Wang Ting's expression turned ugly. He didn't sense the breakthrough of his Dark Force. However, it was reasonable that his Dark Force rose tremendously. After all, there was an abundance of dark apparitions on the battlefield, so naturally, more Dark Force attributes would be dropped. Nonetheless, it was strange, though. His Dark Force rose from the 7-star soldier level to the 9-star soldier level. It rose 2 whole levels, but he didn't detect anything at all. How did this happen? He couldn't find the reason. He felt that some things had gone out of his control. This feeling wasn't good. Normally, every time his level rose, the force would rise from the force nucleus and flow up his spine to the next force nucleus, settling inside it. The reaction it caused wasn't small, so he would be able to feel it. Wang Ting relaxed and started looking at his body with his conscience. He searched for the 9th force nucleus that had been lit up. Very soon, he realized the problem. The dark force wasn't stored inside the force nucleus. Instead, it had unknowingly merged with the body of his force nucleus. The surface of his 9th force nucleus was covered with dense black patterns. If someone dug his force nucleus out of his body, they might think that he was a dark apparition. The force nucleus looked as if it had been contaminated. The edge of his lips trembled. He didn't sense that he was turning into a dark apparition, but the feeling of things getting out of hand wasn't good. System, didn't you say that nothing will go wrong? Are you planning to change a host because you dislike me? System, you've changed. Wang Ting screamed in his heart. Unfortunately, the system remained as cold and distant as always. It didn't bother to reply to him. Gotcha. Suddenly, Wang Ting heard a sinister laugh. That lichen dark apparition was charging at him. Boom. He waved his sharp claws. The trees that hid Wang Ting got chopped by 2 black claw glows. Then, the claw glows continued flying towards Wang Ting. Wang Ting squinted. He was too careless just now. The force fluctuations created when he rose in level must have attracted the lichen's attention. Without thinking, he activated his space talent. The air behind him rippled slightly. At the same time, The claw glows arrived in front of his face. The sharp and strong wind scratched his cheeks, leaving thin and small wounds. Blood dripped from the wounds. Wang Ting stared at the black claws. Then, he stepped on the ground and flew back abruptly. Slash. The next moment, the black sharp claws split Wang Ting's lingering shadow into two. On the other side, Wang Ting's true form appeared. There was cold sweat on his forehead. He turned around and continued running away without hesitation. That is, the power of space. Sila's expression turned eerie. There was disbelief in his eyes. This time, because of the close distance, he detected the source of the secretive power. It was the power of space. There was no doubt about it. This young human had managed to grasp the power of space. However, he was only a 7-star soldier level martial warrior. Even if he had reached the 8-star soldier level a moment ago, he was still a huge distance away from the general stage. Yet, there were rarely any general stage warriors who were able to grasp the power of space. Only those at the peak of the general stage might be able to touch the door of space power. Even then, it was impossible for them to use it smoothly like this young human. Sila's gaze flickered. He snorted and stepped on the ground. He turned into lingering shadows as he chased after Wang Ting. The answers would be revealed once he caught that young human. He didn't believe that this young human could use space power endlessly. Once he reached his limit, he would fall in his hands. Wang Ting felt the lichen behind him getting closer and closer. He turned serious. Because of his mistake, the distance between them had shortened greatly, and his advantage was gone. He couldn't continue like this. He would get caught sooner or later. Wang Ting gritted his teeth and made his decision. With his current ability, he might have a 10% to 20% chance of killing his opponent if he gave it his all. Even if there was only a 10% or 20% possibility, he must do it. If he didn't, death was his only option. At this moment, his vision included his own, as well as Little White's in the air. Very few people detected Little White's presence. In this primary forest within the mountains, it was a huge assistance to Wang Ting. He relied on Little White's vision-sharing ability to accurately find the positions of the powerful star beasts. Now, he was preparing a huge gift for that lichen. Not long after Little White absorbed the 4-star fire element star core, Wang Ting had fed the 5-star star core to it. Little White was extremely talented and was always looking for fights. With Wang Ting's help, it managed to reach 5-star successfully. Although this level wasn't high nor low, its progress was already swift. After all, it had only been with Wang Ting for a short time and had already managed to reach its level. As its ability rose, the range of its connection with Wang Ting increased by many times. Wang Ting ordered Little White to fly deep into the mountain range using the power of the spiritual pet contract. He was looking for something in the mountain. Not long after, he finally saw a dazzling ball of fire element force glow through Little White's vision. That's it. Wang Ting was elated. He suddenly changed his direction and darted to the left of the forest. The lichen chasing him was stunned for a moment. He frowned. He wasn't stupid, so he could see that this young human seemed extremely familiar with this forest. He could always find the location of star beasts and create trouble for him. What tricks does this young human have this time? Chapter 465. Come quickly, you can do it to Sila. This young human was a sinister and tricky person. That was why he was able to think of such an irritating and torturous scheme. He had never met such a frustrating fellow. He was only at the 7-star soldier level, but he was forced to spend such a long time chasing him. He would be embarrassed if anyone found out. Wang Ting shot towards the ball of red glow he saw using Little White's vision while feeling his ability. All in all, the dark force was at the top among all his force attributes currently. He was facing a life-threatening danger now, so he didn't have the time to ponder over the abnormality of the dark force. He just hoped that he could use it. It didn't matter what force it was. As long as he could kill the dark apparition, it was a good force. Even if it was the dark force, he would use it if it could help him kill the general stage dark apparition. He had no dislike for it. Very soon, Wang Teng realized that he could still use his dark force smoothly. He didn't feel anything strange. He heaved a sigh of relief. If any troubles happened now, he would be in a dire situation. Since he was able to use his dark force normally, it meant that he could execute the power of a 9-star soldier-level martial warrior at its peak. Along with his other skills and techniques, there was a higher chance of him killing the general stage dark apparition. But to Wang Teng, this wasn't enough. His pupils twirled around as he commanded Little White to silently close in on the crimson ball of light. If one knew the enemy and oneself, they would not need to fear the result of 100 battles. Based on the intensity of the force glow, this star beast must be at the Lord level. If he had no better idea, he wouldn't go and provoke this formidable presence. Wang Teng used the power of the spiritual pet contract to command Little White forward. He was extremely careful, trying his best to not alert the Lord-level star beast. He didn't want to lose Little White here. Little White retracted its force under Wang Teng's order. It carefully flew closer to the Lord-level star beast's territory just like an ordinary bird. As it got closer, it felt the scorching aura in this area. Huge rocks stood erected in the middle of this dense forest. The trees here grew strangely too. The leaves were fiery red, looking like flames sparkling on the trees. Even though it was extremely hot, the ground was wet. Molds could be seen everywhere. Little White flew low in the sky. It circled the huge rocks covered with mold and soared through the fiery red leaves growing on the trees. Suddenly, Wang Ting asked it to stop and hide. Right in front, in the middle of a pile of broken rocks, a green flame was burning. Beside this flame lay a hideous and gigantic scorpion. It looked like an armored tank hibernating on the ground. As its mouth opened and closed, as it breathed, small wisps of flames from the green fire got sucked into its stomach. There was a ball of flame on the tip of its tail, covering its poisonous stinger. It looked very strange. It was obvious that this Lord-level giant scorpion shouldn't be provoked. It looked like a metal armor flaming scorpion, but its flames should be red, not green. Wang Teng felt puzzled when he saw the appearance of the giant scorpion. Could it have mutated? A thought suddenly flashed through his mind. His gaze landed on the green flame. If it had mutated, it would be harder to deal with. A glow appeared in Wang Teng's eyes. He felt that the lichen would be extremely satisfied with the opponent he had found for him. He commanded Little White to leave. However, an unexpected situation occurred. Little White stared intently at the green flame, a strong yearning surging into its heart. It used the spiritual pet contract to send its feelings to Wang Teng. "You want that flame?" Wang Teng asked through the power of the contract. After receiving the confirmation, he persuaded Little White for a long time before it managed to curb the immense temptation. Boom! Sylar got impatient. He started attacking while chasing Wang Teng, attempting to lower his speed. Explosions resounded in the forest, and the trees around them were all chopped into pieces. Their chase had implicated many low-rank star beasts. While Wang Teng was dodging, he hurriedly picked up the attribute bubbles dropped by those unlucky star beasts. Would Force *15 Fire Force *10 blank attribute *3 at a certain moment, his Fire Force achieved a breakthrough. Fire Force, 97000, 8-star, a glint flashed past his eyes. He didn't feel much excitement since he only lacked 1 point. Hence, it was predictable that it would rise in level. However, he didn't mind teasing the lichen behind him. All the best. Continue attacking. Believe in yourself. You will be able to hit me soon, Wang Teng said seriously after evading his opponent's attack. Sylar. The muscles on his face twitched, and he felt his blood boiling. This human dared to provoke him. "I will kill you," Sylar bellowed. "Come quickly. You can do it." Wang Teng hooked his finger at him. Sylar raged, his attacks turning even more ferocious. He felt that if he didn't kill this human, he wouldn't be able to live in peace, and his lifespan would be cut short by 10 years. Boom, boom, boom. More and more unlucky star beasts died under his flames of anger. Sylar didn't know that his actions were involuntarily helping Wang Teng in increasing his ability. The remaining 3 forces finally reached the 8-star soldier level consecutively. Metal Force, 35 7000, 8-star, Wood Force, 18 7000, 8-star, Water Force, 47,000, 8-star. As his ability rose, Wang Ting's confidence in killing the Lycan Dark Apparition also increased. Finally, he led his opponent to the territory of the metal armor flaming scorpion. Sylar immediately felt the frightening atmosphere in this hoodoo's forest. However, Wang Teng didn't give him any time to react. He took out Mo Q and slashed it deep into the forest. Boom! As the blade glow landed among the hoodoos, a terrifying, shrill cry was heard. Sylar's expression changed. He forcefully stopped in his tracks. Wang Ting took the chance while he was hesitating to dart into the forest. He left through the path he had pre-planned using Little White's vision and evaded the general stage Lycan's detection. Damn it! Sylar's expression was extremely ugly. He had already seen the huge scorpion crawling quickly out from the hoodoos. Once again, he lost sight of Wang Teng. The metal armor scorpion noticed Sylar too. It hissed at him. To his surprise, it started speaking human language. "Get out of my territory." Wang Teng, who was hiding in the dark, was dumbfounded. This was the first time he had seen a star beast that could speak human language. Sylar didn't find it weird. As a dark apparition, destruction and havoc were carved into his bones. How could he bow down to a star beast? Even if the star beast was at the Lord level. The metal armor giant scorpion noticed that the invader wasn't backing down, so it stopped talking. It hissed and charged towards Sylar, smashing its giant pincers at his head. Kill. Chapter 466. Watching the intense battle from a distance, the metal armor flaming scorpion was the overlord of this region. All the other star beasts bowed their heads to it. Hence, it was enraged by the sudden invasion of the Lycan Dark Apparition. It didn't attack him at the start because it was wary of its opponent's ability. However, the Lycan showed no signs of backing down. The metal armor flaming scorpion wasn't afraid of the other party, so it launched its attack directly. Boom! Sylar roared as the metal armor flaming scorpion charged at it aggressively. He welcomed it boldly. He raised his sharp claws and blocked the huge pincers of the metal armor flaming scorpion. The collision sounded like two metal objects clanging into each other. In front of the tank-like giant figure of the scorpion, Sylar seemed a little small. However, he was able to resist the powerful attack of the metal armor flaming scorpion head-on. As a Lord-level star beast, the metal armor flaming scorpion's intelligence was on par with humans. After it sensed the invasion of a powerful presence, it immediately turned vigilant. Sylar moved his body and darted through the huge pincers. He leaped up into the air and slashed his sharp claws at his enemy. Two black claw glows aimed right for the metal armor flaming scorpion's eyes. The metal armor flaming scorpion moved its two front legs. Although its body was huge, it still managed to retreat quickly. It was quite agile. The black claw glows landed in the air. Sylar wanted to chase after it, but he felt a strong gale above his head. The metal armor flaming scorpion had curled its body into a crescent. The poisonous sting at the tip of its tail stabbed towards Sylar as it burned with a green flame. Sylar's expression changed. He saw the poisonous sting covered with green flame and felt fearful of it. He didn't dare to receive it, so he flew back to evade the attack. Wang Teng hid in the dark and activated his wave invisibility skill to its maximum. To prevent the metal armor flaming scorpion from detecting him, he had specially used many blank attributes to raise his wave invisibility skill to the perfected stage. Wave invisibility, 5000, perfected. He spent 6,550 blank attributes in total before the wave invisibility skill reached the perfected stage. If he hadn't picked up all the blank attributes from the huge number of star beasts killed, there might not have been enough blank attributes in his reserve. He looked at his attributes panel and gave a forced smile. Blank attribute, 3200. He only had 3200 blank attributes left. He felt his heart aching just thinking about it. It hadn't been easy to collect all these blank attribute. However, thinking back, all these powerful star beasts were killed by other people. That meant that these blank attributes were free. This wasn't the main point. The main point was, His heart ached. Of course, he could feel the benefits of having a perfected stage wave invisibility skill. Currently, he seemed to have turned into a gust of wind, merging into the air around him. He also planted some invisibility runes on himself. This way, no one would be able to detect him, not even general stage martial warriors. If not, the metal armor flaming scorpion would be heading for him and not the lichen. He raised his head and looked at the sky. As a Lord-level star beast, the metal armor flaming scorpion was able to float in the air. The mid-air battle between the scorpion and the lichen was astonishing. Many trees and hoodoos below them were destroyed, sending debris flying everywhere. Wang Ting stuck out his tongue in amazement. As expected of a battle between general stage presences. It was appalling. The metal armor flaming scorpion had left its nest, so Little White got restless. It wanted to eat the green flame. Don't go. Wang Ting ordered it sternly. He also felt helpless. This wasn't the time to steal things. The metal armor flaming scorpion might have left some traps behind to prevent more intruders. What if they got discovered while trying to steal the green flame? His plan would go down the drain, and they would have to suffer the scary attacks of the metal armor flaming scorpion. The lichen was enough to tire him out. If the metal armor flaming scorpion joined in, he could just surrender and die. This was the first time Wang Ting scolded Little White so fiercely. Because of the situation, it didn't dare to make any sound. It could only send its hurt emotions to him. Be patient. Once both of them suffer serious injuries, they'll find a chance to kill them. You can then swallow that green flame in peace, Wang Ting coaxed Little White like a child. Little White's increased ability would be great assistance to him. Obviously, the green flame offered many benefits to Little White. If he had a choice, he wouldn't let it go. On the other end, the clone of the Black Incubus Devil Lord also reached the scene. She looked at the battle below and shook her head. Idiot. Never mind, the true form only asked me to watch the show. She didn't ask me to act. The clone of the Black Incubus Devil Lord perfectly inherited the laziness and cold-blooded nature of the real Black Incubus Devil Lord. If it didn't need to act, it wouldn't. It was indifferent towards the death of other dark apparitions too. The metal armor flaming scorpion and the lichen were having a heated battle. Wang Ting felt excited watching it. He wanted to stand up and cheer for them. Unfortunately, this wasn't the right time. He stared at the two parties exchanging blows and waited for the chance to attack. Both the metal armor flaming scorpion and the lichen were injured. Many cracks could be seen on the metal armor flaming scorpion's hard armor. One of its legs was broken and twisted at a weird angle, lowering its battle ability greatly. Sylar was in no better state. Most of his fur was already burnt by the rune array. After the fire attacks by the scorpion, more burnt marks had appeared on his body. These were just the external injuries, his organs suffered too. Fire poison had invaded his body. He wasn't in a good state. At this moment, Wang Ting's plan was halfway to success. Actually, it was just a rough plan. He wanted to make use of the arrogance of a general stage warrior and the nature of the dark apparitions and the star beasts. Dark apparitions were vicious and brutal. Star beasts possessed intelligence, but they were still wild beasts. There was no doubt that a fight would break out once they met. Even more, Wang Ting was flaming the sparks at the side. Suddenly, Wang Ting's gaze froze. The metal armor flaming scorpion hissed with rage in midair. Huge flames started to engulf its entire tail. It swept towards the dark apparition like a burning long whip. Sylar's expression changed. He didn't expect the metal armor flaming scorpion to launch a killing move. He could feel a frightening high temperature from the burning tail. If he was hit, he would be seriously injured. The most fearful part was the poisonous sting at the end of the tail. That was the fatal threat. Even his dark force wouldn't be able to resist the flaming poison of this Lord-level star beast. However, the metal armor flaming scorpion had been preparing this move for a long time. It launched its attack suddenly, so it wouldn't let Sylar evade it so easily. Sylar realized this too. A mad look appeared in his eyes. He opened his mouth, and a black ball of dark force quickly formed in it. Roar! Before the flaming tail whip arrived, the black ball of force had finished forming. Sylar tilted his head back and bellowed furiously. He spurted the ball out. The black ball turned into a lingering shadow and slammed into the metal armor flaming scorpion's tail. Boom! A deafening explosion resounded in the air. The power of this black ball of force was overwhelming. It exploded when it touched the tail. The metal armor flaming scorpion gave a shrill cry of agony. Chapter 467, Sir, Save Me. Amidst the fierce explosion, the flames on the tail of the metal armor flaming scorpion jumped furiously and the hard armor was blown apart. Its flesh was torn to shreds, blood oozing out. The metal armor flaming scorpion was enraged. It bore with the pain and continued sweeping towards the lichen with the same strength. It hit the lichen fiercely. Bang! Sylar's entire body got thrown back from the hit. The next moment, a shrill scream came out of his mouth. When he got hit by the metal armor flaming scorpion's tail, the green flames crawled onto his body and engulfed him. It started burning violently. At this moment, Sylar had become a burning man. He rolled on the ground, trying to put out the green flames with the dark force seeping out of his body. It would have been better if he didn't use his force. The moment he activated his force, the green flames grew bigger as if more fuel was added to it. Wang Ting's gaze flickered. After a moment of confusion, he regained his senses. This was the special trait of the green flame. Indeed, it wasn't an ordinary flame. He felt that he didn't need to kill the lichen personally. The scorpion would do it for him. After seeing the power and special trait of the green flame, Wang Ting was even more determined to get the flame. He needed to think of a way. Idiot! At this moment, a cold voice was heard. Wang Ting's expression changed. He saw a figure gradually appearing in the sky. Black Incubus Devil Lord. Why was she here? His expression turned ugly. The appearance of Black Incubus Devil Lord had ruined his plan entirely. However, under his spiritual sight, Wang Ting noticed something amiss. No, this isn't right. Why is the light around her so weak? She isn't Black Incubus Devil Lord. The force glow around this person had only reached 10-star general stage. Yet, the force glow around Black Incubus Devil Lord was extremely thick and was way ahead of this level. Wang Ting would never guess that Black Incubus Devil Lord's intention was to let her clone follow them and spy on them. She thought that Sylar would be able to take down Wang Ting easily since he was at the general stage. Hence, there was no need for her clone to act. She didn't expect Wang Ting to lure Sylar to the metal armor flaming scorpion and discover the green flame. The clone of the Black Incubus Devil Lord was interested in the green flame. Lady, save me. Sylar screamed in pain when he heard the voice and saw the clone of Black Incubus Devil Lord. Lady. Wang Ting got confused again. Looking at how this general stage dark apparition called her, could she really be Black Incubus Devil Lord? Or did the lichen burn his brain and recognize the wrong person? You can't catch a soldier-level human martial warrior and even ended up in this state. What's the point of saving you? The clone replied nonchalantly. Lady, it's my fault. I failed to complete the task and am willing to accept the punishment. Please save me. Sylar felt despair. He was swallowed in flames. He kneeled in midair and raised his hands at the clone, begging her to save him. The clone snorted. Still, she waved her hand and used some method to remove the green flames on Sylar's body. However, the process took some time. It looked like even the clone had to spend some effort to deal with the green flame. The metal armor flaming scorpion didn't dare to move. It felt a sense of danger from this clone. Although this clone was at the same level as Sylar, they couldn't be compared. Even more, it was already injured, so it wouldn't have any advantages if it started a fight with the other party. After removing the green flame, the clone compressed it into a ball and waved her hand. The ball flew into her palm. She observed the floating green flame on her palm with interest. Then, she turned to look at the metal armor flaming scorpion and said calmly, "Hand over the flame, and I'll spare your life. In your dreams." The metal armor flaming scorpion burst in anger. Although it was fearful of the clone's ability, It wouldn't hand over its most important thing because of a few threats. The green flame was the source of its power. It allowed it to mutate from a normal metal armor flaming scorpion to the king of this area. It was the reason why it became stronger and stronger. Taking the green flame away was equivalent to touching its life. Since you don't agree, you can die. The clone stretched her back lazily and tilted her head. She said to Scylla, who was panting painfully at the side, "Why are you standing there? I didn't save you so that you can watch the show at the side." Scylla was in a miserable state. His body was black, and all his fur had been burnt by the flames. He was a bald wolf now. Although he was in excruciating pain, he didn't dare to disobey the clone's order. He replied hurriedly, "Yes, I will kill that beast immediately." He glared hatefully at the metal armor flaming scorpion after he finished speaking. This beast had almost killed him. The only way to vent the anger in his heart was to kill it. Die. The metal armor flaming scorpion was infuriated. Not only did these two invaders want to snatch its treasure, but they also wanted to kill him. Other people might be able to bear with it, but not the scorpion. Amidst its angry hisses, the metal armor flaming scorpion burst into flames. This time, it wasn't just its tail. Its entire body was burning in green fire. The tank-sized giant figure appeared majestic and domineering in the fire. Oh my, the metal armor flaming scorpion has been forced into a corner and is going all out. Wang Ting could feel that the green flames were putting heavy pressure on the metal armor flaming scorpion's body. Even if it didn't get seriously injured after this war, its ability would be greatly discounted. However, Wang Ting was happy to see this. The more powerful the scorpion became, the greater the threat it possessed to the two dark apparitions. Hence, the more beneficial the situation was to him. Scylla's face turned green when he saw the burning scorpion. One flaming tail was enough to take half of his life away, much less an entire body. How was he supposed to fight? Could someone tell him how he was supposed to fight? Scylla screamed in his heart, feeling exasperated. No matter where he hit, he would get affected by the flames. What should he do? The metal armor flaming scorpion didn't give him any time to think. It rushed towards Scylla with its flaming body and snapped at him with its giant pincers. Scylla evaded the attack hurriedly. He didn't dare to touch the metal armor flaming scorpion, afraid that the flames would burn him again. The metal armor flaming scorpion was filled with rage. It started hurling all its attacks at Scylla, its giant pincers, its poisonous sting. The clone couldn't bear to see the fight any longer. This fellow was utterly useless. She moved her body and appeared beside Scylla. She slapped him away with one hand. "Go away." The metal armor flaming scorpion saw its target being thrown away and immediately shifted its anger on the clone. It threw all its attacks at her. Chapter 468. Killing the general stage dark apparition. The clone's face was as cold as ice. Her lazy expression had long disappeared. As she faced this giant metal armor flaming scorpion who dared to wave its pincers at her, she decided to give it an unforgettable memory. Boom! She raised her fair and smooth palm and slammed it forward. The huge pincers covered with green flames were pushed away by a frightening force, and a huge patch of green flame was extinguished. The clone's palm didn't get stained with any of the green flames, though. Cracks appeared on the shell of the metal armor flaming scorpion's giant pincers due to the clone's attack. This gentle push possessed such great power. Wang Ting squinted when he saw this scene from his hiding spot. This black incubus devil lord was also at 10-star general stage, but she was much more powerful than the Lycan. His gaze landed on the clone's palm, and his eyes lit up. There was a thin layer of light shining on her palm. It was like a shield protecting her hand. The green flames did have some effect. With his sharp eyes, he noticed a few strands of green flames sticking on the faint layer of light. It was burning and damaging the layer. However, the clone's control ability was strong. The moment the layer of light got damaged, a new layer was formed. An invisible force spread above the layer of light and shook off the green flames on it. This was the special method Black Incubus Devil Lord used to block the green flames. She still feared it. Wang Ting felt relieved. This was enough to prove that the black incubus devil lord in front of him wasn't as terrifying as the one he met before. Then, he shifted his gaze to the other side. The lichen flew back in a bedraggled state after he got thrown away by black incubus devil lord. He seemed a little awkward. Although he was exasperated, he didn't dare reveal his displeasure because of black incubus devil lord. He couldn't offer any assistance to the fight between black incubus devil lord and the metal armor flaming scorpion, so he awkwardly waited at the side. Soon, he remembered the mastermind behind everything and started scanning the forest below to find Wang Ting. If he didn't kill this sinister human, he wouldn't be Sila. Wang Ting saw the ruthless gaze of the lichen and smiled. Did he torture the dark apparition a little too much? The other party hated him very much. That gaze looked as if he wanted to bite him. In that case, why don't I secretly kill the lichen while Black Incubus Devil Lord is fighting with the scorpion? After all, if Black Incubus Devil Lord killed the metal armor flaming scorpion, he would have to face 2 general stage dark apparitions simultaneously. The lichen had suffered serious injuries, so this was the best time to ambush him. Wang Teng's gaze turned sharp. He looked at his attributes panel, focusing on the assassination skill in his repertoire. In the past, he didn't use it because he didn't have the chance. However, this seemed to be the perfect scenario to use this technique. But the assassination skill level was a little low. It was at the foundation stage. Obviously, it wasn't enough to deal with the general stage dark apparition. Increase. He threw all his 3,200 blank attributes into this skill. The assassination skill rose from foundation to small achievement to big achievement. It finally settled on the perfected stage. Assassination, 1613-5000, perfected. With the help of the blank attributes, memories of the assassination skill floated into Wang Ting's mind. In his memory, the outline of a light figure appeared. It started executing all the assassination techniques, starting from the easiest and gradually getting more complicated and profound. The figure showed the learning process from a novice to a master. Finally, the memories merged into Wang Ting's mind and body and became part of his ability. In an instant, he changed from an ordinary person into an assassination machine. It was as if he had experienced many years of brutal training. His gaze changed. Once Wang Ting entered the state, his gaze turned indifferent and cold-blooded. He became extremely logical and calm. This was the basic quality of an assassin. Unfortunately, all his 3,200 points of blank attributes were gone. If not, Wang Ting would have increased his assassination skill to the peak of the perfected realm. Now, he could only use what he had. However, with the addition of his space talent and concealing skills, he could more than double the effect. The next second, his body disappeared on the spot. No traces were left behind, as if he had merged into the air. This was a practical application of the assassination skill. Along with the concealing skills, he was able to merge with the surroundings to wait for the opportunity to launch the lethal move. The lichen dashed into the forest below and searched for Wang Ting crazily. He hated him to the core. The pain coming from every inch of his body constantly reminded him that his sufferings were all caused by that young human. But no matter how he searched, he was unable to find Wang Ting's hiding spot. This made him mad, his eyes turning bloodshot. Suddenly, his head turned numb and his heart started palpitating without any warning. His general stage battle awareness caused him to move to the side without thinking. Slash. Blood blossomed in the air. "Come out," the lichen shouted angrily. He had almost suffered a lethal blow just now. Although he had dodged it, he still received a deep cut on his arm. He was forced into a tight corner by a soldier-level human martial warrior. This was a humiliation for a general stage warrior. However, Wang Ting didn't continue after the first sneak attack. The space around him became distorted, and he disappeared without a trace. The lichen swung his wolf claws and destroyed all the trees around him so that Wang Ting wouldn't have any place to hide. Wang Ting launched his attack again. He shot out from the side and slashed his sharp sword at the lichen, adding another wound to the collection. Roar. "Human, come out and have a duel with me. Don't hide like a mouse. Come out. Come out." The lichen almost went crazy. He sensed that Wang Ting was around him, but he couldn't find him no matter what. He felt extremely frustrated and irritated. As you wish. Wang Ting's cold voice echoed beside his ears. Before the lichen could feel happy, another cut appeared on his thigh. Wang Ting was using Mo Q. It was so sharp that even the indomitable body of a general stage dark apparition couldn't block it. The cut was extremely deep, going all the way into his flesh. Even his bones could be seen. The lichen staggered and almost fell. His leg trembled as large amounts of blood started flowing down his leg. Howl! I will kill you! I will kill you! He bellowed while attacking everything in his path frantically. Come, kill me! I'm here! I'm here! Wang Ting's mocking tone resounded all around him. It drilled into the lichen's ear from all directions like cursed chants. Chapter 469. As expected of a general stage warrior, Wang Ting used his assassination skill and disturbed the lichen's mind with the methods recorded to make him mad. By right, the mentality of a general stage warrior shouldn't be so weak. However, the lichen had suffered multiple stimulations and attacks, so he wasn't able to keep his cool anymore. To him, Wang Ting's voice was like an evil curse. His mind was about to explode from the pain, and he started attacking aimlessly. Slash, slash, slash. Wang Ting wounded the lichen continuously, leaving many hideous cuts on his body. After some time, the lichen was already covered with blood. He looked miserable. All these happened within a short time. Assassination required speed, accuracy, and brutality. If too much time was wasted, the lichen would notice something amiss and recover his senses. However, the outcome was inevitable now. Almost there. Wang Ting thought to himself as he looked at the wounds on the lichen's body. Immediately after, the crazy lichen suddenly froze. Then, he opened his mouth and vomited black blood. He was flabbergasted. This sudden change caused him to calm down instantly. He bellowed, "What did you do?" Wang Ting didn't reply to him. He waited quietly for the poison force of the demon lotus poison body to explode entirely in his body. You're a poison element martial warrior. Sylar was in disbelief after he felt the change in his body. He quickly sensed an extremely troublesome and strong poison in him. Without him knowing, it had already spread to his entire body. Even his dark force got corroded by it. What a frightening poison force. Sylar wanted to get rid of the poison force, but it was glued to his body and force. Even the most infectious dark force had become helpless in front of this poison force. Damn it, come out. I want to kill, Fut. Sylar tried his best to resist the poison force in his body as he roared in anger. However, before he could finish speaking, he vomited another mouthful of black blood. Wang Ting squinted. He traveled through space and appeared behind the lichen. Then, he threw his Mo Q out. Roar. Sylar felt the threat of death. He forcefully twisted his body and opened his mouth, a black force ball congregating at high speed in it. I've been waiting for this move. Wang Ting scoffed. A sinister red light appeared in his eyes. It stabbed right into the lichen's eyes. Bewitch. He used the bewitching skill he had picked up from a vampire dark apparition on this lichen dark apparition. The lichen was caught off guard and fell into Wang Ting's trap. Die. Wang Ting waved Mo Q down during his moment of absent-mindedness. Splurt. Fresh blood sprayed out of the neat cut. The lichen's head flew into the air. Impossible. The excruciating pain forced the lichen to regain his consciousness. At that instant when his head was chopped, his consciousness was still alive. He recognized the hypnotic battle technique. It was exactly like the bewitched talent ability of the vampire race. As a dark apparition, he died of a dark apparition's skill. And the person who killed him was a soldier-level human. The lichen widened his eyes in regret as his consciousness seeped into the darkness. A wolf head dropped from the sky and smashed on the ground. It rolled a few times before stopping a few steps away. His body crashed onto the ground loudly. Wang Ting panted. He felt emotional as he looked at the wolf's head. Damn it, it was so hard to kill a general stage warrior. He almost went to hell with him. Fortunately, everything ended well. It might seem as if he didn't use much effort, but he had to combine his schemes and the assassination methods to kill his opponent. The process was arduous and strenuous. A single error could end his life. After all, that was a general stage dark apparition. Fortunately, he kept his life and killed the general stage dark apparition. He had no time to feel proud, though. There was another stronger dark apparition waiting for him to kill. That was the real trouble. Wang Ting kept the corpse of the lichen in his space ring and looked at the attribute bubbles floating on the ground. Dark Force * 1200 Advanced Stage Dark Talent * 300 Spiritual Realm Spirit * 220 Spiritual Realm Enlightenment * 280 Dark Wind Bullet * 420 Wang Ting was almost blinded by the hundreds and thousands of attributes. This was the first time he had gained so many attributes from an individual. In the past, he wouldn't even dare to think about it. As expected of a general stage warrior, he was a living attribute machine. Of course, this machine was a little too powerful. Wang Ting stared at the attribute bubbles in front of him hesitantly. His dark force was already at the peak of 9-star soldier level. He was 440 points away from reaching the general stage. But there were 1,200 points of dark force right in front of him. It was within reachable distance. Many martial warriors worked and fought hard to reach this stage. The majority of them collapsed halfway through the journey, including the gifted ones. In the end, only a small percentage of talents would climb to the top and step through the gates to turn into formidable warriors. Now, the opportunity was right in front of Wang Ting, but he was hesitating. He would be beaten to death if he told others about it. Wang Ting was in a dilemma because this was the dark force. If it was another force, he would have jumped in joy. Not long ago, he had discovered something strange about his dark force. Before he figured out what happened, he was still wary of it. If he was assimilated, he wouldn't be able to save himself even if he cried his heart out. His only consolation was that the dark force in his body didn't give him any adverse effects. I don't care. The opportunity is right here. To hell with the abnormality. After a short moment of hesitation, Wang Ting made his decision. Seeking wealth in risk. The system had already lowered the risk to its minimum. If he still worried so much, he might as well go back and enjoy his inheritance. He had a strong opponent waiting to attack him. The stronger he was, the higher his chance of surviving. Isn't it just a 10-star general? After this breakthrough, I'll kill that female dark apparition. Wang Ting picked up the spirit attributes first. He had used up much of his spirit when he was running away, so he needed to replenish it. Then, he picked up the enlightenment and advanced stage dark talent. These two attributes would enhance his control of dark force. He felt anxious about his dark force, so he hoped that he could increase his control of it through raising his enlightenment and the related talent. As the attribute bubbles merged into his body, Wang Ting's enlightenment increased. His mind got clearer. The 300 points of advanced stage dark talent allowed his dark talent to rise exponentially. Advanced stage dark talent, 331,000. Wang Ting instantly felt that his sensitivity and grasp of the dark talent had become sharper and easier. Chapter 470. Boss, don't worry. Let me help you. Moving along, the next special battle technique was Dark Wind Bullet. Wang Ting had received the same battle technique from a human who had turned into a dark apparition. However, at that time, he only received a few attribute points. He didn't want to waste blank attributes on it, so he had shelved it away. Now, he had received 420 points of Dark Wind Bullet attributes from the lichen, allowing his skill to rise to the small achievement stage. This proved that the lichen's grasp of this technique was higher than the other dark apparition. Dark Wind Bullet, 321,500, small achievement. Wang Ting disregarded the attribute after a single glance. The Dark Wind Bullet was not bad, but the most important thing was the rise in his dark force level. The last few attribute bubbles were pitch black, dense like an endless black hole. He picked them up. The dark force attribute bubbles immediately merged into Wang Ting's body. Boom! Wang Ting shuddered. As the dark force seeped into his body, The dark force inside his ninth force nucleus reached its limit. This time, he focused his attention on his body and carefully observed the changes in the dark force. He realized that the dark force did merge with his force nucleus. Next, similar black patterns started forming on the surface of the force nucleus. This represented the perfected state of the dark force in the ninth force nucleus. There were 9 force nuclei in a human. They were distributed on the spine, starting from the tailbone and ending at the back of the head. When the 9 force nuclei reached a perfected state, force would overflow and run through the entire spine. At that moment, the ability of the martial warrior would undergo a tremendous change as they advanced to the general stage. Wang Ting knew that the dark force would run through his spine very soon, so he felt a little nervous. He prepared his cultivation technique so that he could use it to push dark force through his spine when it overflowed his force nucleus. That way, he would be able to advance to the general stage. He waited for some time. After his ninth force nucleus reached the perfected state, it quietened down. There was no movement from it. Wang Ting. He was stunned. What is this? What just happened? What am I doing? His mind was full of curses. Why didn't he advance to the general stage? Why didn't anything happen in the end? Damn it. System, are you playing with me? Wang Ting felt that the world was playing a prank on him. Damn it. He pointed his middle finger at the sky before taking a deep breath. Then, he stopped dawdling over this issue and turned to rush towards the area where the Black Incubus Devil Lord and the Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion were fighting. From afar, he could tell that the Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion was dying. As expected, the female dark apparition wasn't an easy opponent. The Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion was in a terrible state after withstanding the fierce attacks by the clone. When Wang Ting came near, he noticed that the green flames on the scorpion had turned dim. It was going to be extinguished soon. There were many cracks on its shell too. Wounds could be seen everywhere, and green blood covered its entire body. However, the clone also had some scratches on her body. There were a few unobvious burnt marks caused by the green flames, and her hands were trembling slightly. She had paid a huge price to destroy the hard shell of the Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion. The clone of the Black Incubus Devil Lord was floating 10 meters away as she stared at the Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion sternly. The Black Incubus Devil Lord only gave it the ability of a 10-star general stage martial warrior, so she had trouble killing this star beast. She frowned while complaining in her heart. She had almost exhausted all the dark force in her body. She was a clone made of dark force, so her ability to absorb dark force to replenish her stock wasn't very effective. Once she used up all the dark force she had, she would disappear automatically. Why isn't that idiot back? All he needed to do was to catch the human. What's he doing? The clone was furious. She looked in the direction of their fight a moment ago. Unfortunately, her ability was limited currently, so she couldn't sense the situation there. She would never expect the general stage Sylar to get killed by a soldier-level Wang Ting. The unknown situation made her feel that she was losing control. If the true form was here, it wouldn't have been so troublesome. The clone sighed. Then, she looked at the Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion and scoffed. Bow down or die. The Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion hesitated. Its stance wasn't as tough as before because it felt the threat of death. Wang Ting saw this scene when he came closer and cursed in his heart. What the hell, boss? Where is your dignity? Where is your ego? What happened to your domineering attitude at the start? Don't be afraid. Continue fighting her. A smile appeared on the edge of the clone's lips when she saw the Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion's hesitation. It was a Lord-level star beast, but once fear had crept up to its heart, it wasn't far from surrendering. I'll only give you 10 seconds. Pass me the green flame, and I can spare your life. Wang Ting cursed the Black Incubus Devil Lord for being unscrupulous. She wanted to win the war without a fight. He felt that he needed to do something. He mustn't allow the Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion to hand over the green flame so easily. After all, he wanted that treasure too. He activated his spiritual sight to check the two parties' situations. Huh! He exclaimed in his heart, a sinister smile appearing on his face. I almost got fooled by her. There must be something wrong with this black incubus devil lord. The force glow in her body is much dimmer. She's a paper tiger now. 10, 9, 8. The clone started counting down. Wang Ting stopped hesitating. He jumped straight out and shouted, "Boss Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion, don't worry. I'm here to help you." The clone. The Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion. They both turned and looked at Wang Ting, who had suddenly dashed out, feeling stunned. The Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion was utterly confused. Who is this? Do I know him? Why did he suddenly run out to help me? Boss Scorpion, the dark apparitions have invaded our world. This is unforgivable. We belong to the same side, so we should work together to kill her, Wang Ting shouted in a righteous tone. Then, he charged towards the clone. To show my sincerity, I'll go first. He knew that there was limited force left in the black incubus devil lord's body, so he wasn't afraid. Of course, he remained cautious of the black incubus devil lord. Once the situation went astray, he would use his space talent to escape. Boom. He punched his fist out, hurling a frightening fist force at the clone. Brat, I'll remember you. The clone's expression turned ugly. The next moment, she disintegrated under Wang Ting's fist force and turned into a ball of dark force, dissipating in the air. Wang Ting. The Metal Armor Flaming Scorpion. Chapter 471, Darkness Clone Technique. Wang Ting. The atmosphere suddenly turned a little awkward. Wang Ting stared at the black incubus devil lord, who had turned into a ball of dark force because of his punch. He found this unreal and speechless. He defeated the black incubus devil lord with a single punch. Although he knew that the black incubus devil lord was just putting up a strong front, she was still a general stage martial warrior. She fought ferociously with the metal armor flaming scorpion and beat it up until it couldn't retaliate. Why did she become so brittle in his hands? Wang Ting looked at his fist and clenched it hard. He felt that something wasn't right. On the other side, the metal armor flaming scorpion stared at Wang Ting fearfully. This human seemed a little scary. That female devil was brutal, but he killed her with a single punch. The guy's brutality was off the charts. Mind you, it almost got murdered by the female devil. By comparison, it would only get tormented if it landed in the hands of this human. It couldn't afford to provoke him. Fortunately, this human wasn't a bad person. His righteous appearance was etched deeply in his mind. This human had helped it get out of its hopeless situation by killing the female devil. He pulled it out of the abyss of despair. It firmly believed that this human was a good person. Yes, that was right. That must be the case. The metal armor flaming scorpion looked at Wang Ting's youthful face, and there seemed to be a holy layer of light painted on his face. No matter how it looked at him, it felt that he was a good man. However, this young man was a general stage martial warrior. This was an undeniable fact. It must give him some respect, so it contemplated its words and tried its best to appear respectful. It opened its mouth and said, "Young human martial warrior, wait." Wang Ting suddenly raised a finger and interrupted the metal armor flaming scorpion. The metal armor flaming scorpion didn't know what to do with its emotions. The words that it had spent much time thinking through got stuck in its throat. Wang Ting disregarded the metal armor flaming scorpion. His gaze was fixed on the spot where the black incubus devil lord had disappeared. A few pitch-black attribute bubbles were floating there. He swallowed his saliva. What kind of attribute bubbles did the female dark apparition leave for him? By now, Wang Ting knew that this black incubus devil lord wasn't the true form. It was just a special presence formed using force. He would call it the clone of the black incubus devil lord for the time being. As long as it was related to the black incubus devil lord, he anticipated the content of the attribute bubbles. There wasn't much time left, so Wang Ting picked up the attribute bubbles immediately. Spiritual Realm Spirit *350 Dark Force *880 Darkness Clone Technique *1. There were only 3 attribute bubbles, but the sum was considerable. The Spiritual Realm Spirit was 130 points more than what he had collected from the lichen. The 3 attribute bubbles merged into Wang Teng's body. After he digested the last attribute bubble, a hint of joy appeared on his face. Darkness Clone Technique. This was a rare and unique dark skill. It used spiritual power and force as the foundation to form a clone that possessed a certain portion of your ability. Wang Teng finally understood why that female dark apparition looked exactly like the Black Incubus Devil Lord, but their strength differed so much. His guess was right. She was just a clone. Phew. Wang Teng felt lucky. If the real Black Incubus Devil Lord was present, he wouldn't have any chances of surviving. That female dark apparition was too powerful. Suddenly, Wang Teng's expression froze. He remembered what the clone said before it dissipated into the air. She said that she would remember him? Wang Teng. Wang Teng didn't know if he should feel proud or cry when a formidable character remembered him. Well, the Darkness Clone Technique was a consolation. This technique came from the Black Incubus Devil Lord, so it must be extraordinary. Actually, the Darkness Clone Technique was the Black Incubus Devil Lord's secret Skyrank technique. It was rare and precious. Other dark apparitions, even the general stage ones, had no chances of learning it. Yet, Wang Teng obtained this Skyrank secret technique. What a surprise! Wang Teng didn't have much time to feel happy as the outline of a figure appeared in his mind. Spiritual power and force started circulating this outline. The spiritual power and force separated from the main body. After a series of exquisite and hard-to-explain changes, it slowly congregated into a similar outline beside the first figure. The process seemed easy, but in reality, it was difficult and complicated. People without talent might not grasp the skill even if they spent a large amount of time practicing it. The Darkness Clone Technique required a precise command over one's force. Its requirement for one's spiritual power was also stringent. If one's spiritual power didn't meet the requirement, they would feel powerless and frustrated after receiving this technique. You possessed this treasure, but you couldn't practice it. Fortunately, Wang Teng didn't have this problem. Spiritual power was his strong suit. Not many people were able to reach the Emperor realm, after all. It might even be possible that the Black Incubus Devil Lord's spiritual power realm wasn't as high as his. In addition, Wang Teng's enlightenment and dark talent were extremely high, giving him a strong control of his force. He ticked all the boxes, so the Darkness Clone Technique posed no difficulty to him. Wang Teng was eager to try, thinking about the many uses for clones. He was excited to experiment with this technique. However, he also knew this wasn't the right time. The metal armor flaming scorpion had been silent all this while. It was observing Wang Teng secretly. For one moment, he was on the brink of tears, and the next, he smiled like an idiot. For some reason, the scorpion felt that this human seemed a little mental. It took a few steps back involuntarily. Wang Teng turned and looked at the scorpion at this moment. He saw what it was doing and felt speechless. Wang Teng. Boss, are you seriously afraid of me? Wang Teng didn't know what to say. After a few moments of silence, he thought of something and put a smile on his face. What did you want to say just now? We can continue. Although the metal armor flaming scorpion felt that the young man's expression was strange, it didn't think too much. Thank you for helping me. Please let me play host to you. There aren't many resources on my land, but I do have some spiritual herbs. I think they will be useful to human martial warriors. Wang Teng's eyes lit up. This Lord-level star beast probably had many treasures. Before he could ask it, the scorpion took the initiative to offer them to him. Sensible. Cough. Wang Teng coughed awkwardly before saying, "Don't misunderstand. I don't demand repayment for my good deeds. Oh right, I heard that you have a magical green flame. May I have the honor of looking at it?" The metal armor flaming scorpion. Chapter 472. The green crystals underground. It was hard to explain what the scorpion was feeling in a single sentence. This human spoke beautifully, claiming that he wasn't someone who demanded repayment. Fake. In the end, he wanted his precious green flame. Indeed, humans are all liars. Is it not possible? I just want to take a look. You aren't so petty, right? Wang Tung slowly kept his smile, his gaze turning stern. The metal armor flaming scorpion felt its heart pounding. This human's expression was terrifying, sending chills up its spine. Of course, it was riddled with injuries and weakened greatly, so it might not be able to withstand that frightening punch from this human. Under these circumstances, it had to give in. Never mind, this human saved its life. It wasn't an ungrateful scorpion. It would bring him to see the flame. It was just paying a debt of gratitude. It had no other intentions. It didn't matter if others didn't believe it. It believed itself. Wang Ting nodded in satisfaction. Lead the way. He knew where to go, but he mustn't show it. It was equivalent to telling the metal armor flaming scorpion that he had already been to its nest. Even more, he wanted to know where the metal armor flaming scorpion kept his treasures. If he exposed his intention too early, the scorpion might put up a desperate fight since it knew that it had no chance of survival. Wang Ting's evil gaze landed on the metal armor flaming scorpion as he schemed against it. The scorpion, which was leading the way, shivered. It turned its head carefully, only to see Wang Ting's righteous face. Maybe he really wanted to just take a look. The scorpion convinced itself as it led Wang Ting deep into the hoodoo forest. Wang Ting saw the green flame once again. Dumbstruck, he asked, "Where did this flame come from?" "Honestly, I don't know either." The metal armor flaming scorpion gave a forced smile. "Where did it come from? Did it pop out from the ground out of nowhere?" Wang Ting asked. The scorpion hesitated, but when it saw Wang Ting squinting, it shuddered and replied hurriedly, "I dug the ground to explore in the past. There is an unknown green rock below the green flame. The flame probably appeared after the rock broke and had been burning ever since. So you're saying that the green flame was here before you came?" Wang Ting touched his chin and asked. "That's right. I'm naturally sensitive to flames and found this place accidentally. I felt that the green flame was extraordinary, so I took possession of it," the metal armor flaming scorpion said. "You relied on this green flame to reach this stage, right?" Wang Ting suddenly asked in a meaningful tone. The metal armor flaming scorpion's heart skipped a beat. It had evaded the crucial points, but this human still guessed it. It gave a bitter smile and nodded its huge head. "Yes, I was just an ordinary metal armor flaming scorpion. It's hard for my race to reach the Lord level. If it wasn't for this green flame, I'd be like my clansmen. The 9-star level is my limit." It paused for a moment, seemingly in a dilemma. Then, it made a huge decision and said, "You saved my life. I have nothing to repay you, so let me give you this green flame. Can you bear to part with it?" Wang Ting looked at it in surprise and said with an ambiguous smile, "So what if I don't? I'm seriously injured and the other Lord-level star beasts around me don't like me. They will hurry over soon after hearing the commotion. Even if I don't give it to you, I won't be able to protect this flame," the metal armor flaming scorpion said sadly. "But I'm not that kind of person. Taking advantage of people, taking advantage of scorpions isn't my style of doing things," Wang Ting said righteously. The metal armor flaming scorpion didn't know what to say. "Your eyes are almost glued to the flame. What do you mean by you're not that kind of person? Who are you trying to fool? You're not taking advantage of me. I'm giving it to you voluntarily." The metal armor flaming scorpion felt helpless. Cough cough, "In that case, it's disrespectful for me to decline. Sigh, I'm just too kind." Wang Ting heaved a sigh. Shameless. The metal armor flaming scorpion scolded in its heart. But on the surface, it nodded fervently and gave an "it's all right, that's right, you're always right" expression. "Follow me. If you want to absorb the green flame, you need to do it from the source. It's below the ground." The scorpion climbed forward as it spoke. Wang Ting grew excited. He followed the scorpion and asked, "What will happen if I absorb that green flame?" "You have witnessed the power of the flame yourself. If you absorb it, the flame will be attached to your force, and your battle ability will increase. There are also other uses of it. You will know once you absorb it," the metal armor flaming scorpion explained. Wang Ting nodded, his expectations of the green flame becoming higher. At first, he planned to let Little White absorb it, But now, he suddenly realized that he could do it too. He could split it into two, one for him and one for the bird. He would take the big portion, while Little White would take the smaller one. This was the Wang family's fair way of splitting. Little White would never think that its unscrupulous master would shrink its portion of the flame. If it knew the truth, it might start crying on the spot. The metal armor flaming scorpion brought Wang Teng into the hoodoos. It pushed one hoodoo aside, revealing the pitch-black hole below. Then, it signaled to Wang Teng and crawled inside. Wang Teng's gaze flickered. He jumped and followed the scorpion down. The underground pit was deeper than he thought. He only reached the bottom after traveling a few hundred meters. The metal armor flaming scorpion had dug a huge hole at the bottom. A faint green glow could be seen in front, making the dark space below take a shade of green. The temperature underground was extremely high. It felt like soaking in lava. The metal armor flaming scorpion was like a fish in water. Its wounds started healing faster, and its injury was relieved a bit. Wang Teng noticed this, but he didn't say anything. He continued moving forward. After some time, he saw the source of the green light. His eyes widened in awe when he saw the scene. He was shocked, speechless. Not far away, there was an enormous sparkling crystal-like green gemstone giving off a thick green light. It was magnificent. It was mounted on the rock walls on both sides and went right to the roof of this save. Just like what the scorpion said, the green flame leaked out from this giant crystal. At the same time, waves of scorching heat exuded from the green crystal. Wang Teng activated his ice force to save himself from getting barbecued by the heat. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.